We are live Sunday morning. We are on German time this morning. It's week 10 of the NFL. A lot of good games to talk through today. I already seen a lot of people in the YouTube live chat. We're live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube as always. Gonna be a great one. We got a game starting in just under 30 minutes. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing the Seattle Seahawks in Germany. This game again starting in 30 minutes. We are on German time this morning. This is a good one. We got a Geno Smith or Tom Brady question here. I'm still rocking with Tom Brady over Geno Smith. This is a really interesting game. The Buccaneers are favored by 2.5 points in this game. The Buccaneers have been much worse than the Seattle Seahawks this entire season. So pretty surprising spread, I would say, in this game. But I'm still taking the Bucs in this game. I still do like Brady against this Seahawks defense more than Geno against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. I will pull up the numbers here really quickly for the Seahawks defense, which has not been great this season. They rank 11th worst against quarterbacks this season. They really haven't stopped very many QBs. They haven't allowed any big performances other than Jared Goff back in week 4, but they've allowed almost every quarterback they've played to go over 15 fantasy points. I like Brady's floor. He's been throwing the ball a ton. We are live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. Come to the YouTube live to see my top 15 rankings, every single position. Shout out to all the TikTok live subscribers, by the way. Where and app do I see the rankings? So if you just unsync your team, you'll see the whole rankings list. So just tap on your team, unsync it, and then you'll see the entire rankings list. That's how you do that in the app. It is NFL Sunday, the best day of the week, man. Best day of the week. And we got a game, an exciting game, starting in just about 20 minutes. Are you starting Cade Otton? I'm not starting Cade Otton because Cameron Brate is back this week. I think there's some risks to Cade Otton for sure. I think in this game, you're starting Tyler Lockett, you're starting DK Metcalf, you're starting Chris Godwin, you're starting Mike Evans, you're obviously starting Kenneth Walker. I think you can start Tom Brady. You can start Geno Smith as well, but I like Brady more than Geno Smith. I'm not starting any of the tight ends. Noah Fant is like a super deep option at tight end. I think I have him ranked 15th, but I mean, his floor is 0 points. I think Cade Otton has a floor close to 0 points. You can start Leonard Fournette, but there seems to be growing risk with Leonard Fournette. He actually almost didn't even make the trip because of passport issues, but I still think Fournette is startable for sure in most situations. So the guys that I have as must benches today, obviously we've had the Rams running backs as must benches basically all season. We can't trust any of the Rams running backs. Jamal Williams, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Jamal Williams because DeAndre Swift wasn't even on the injury report this week, and we all know he's still injured, which really bothers me, right? We know Swift has been limited because of an injury, yet he's not on the injury report because they know he's playing. And they get a matchup against the Bears, who have been pretty bad against running backs. I'm just a little nervous for Jamal losing a little bit more work to DeAndre Swift. He's been startable. He's gone over 10 points each of his last 2 games. He did play 64% of the snaps last week, though, and I don't know if he's going to see another 24 carries like he did last week. 81 scoreless yards for Jamal Williams last week. I feel like the floor is a little bit lower than people are realizing with Jamal Williams. Allen Robinson, there's a lot of injuries to be aware of today. First of all, we don't think Matthew Stafford is going to play. He's in the concussion protocol, and it sounds like he's not going to be active. Kyler Murray is looking on the wrong side of questionable as well. Both those injuries are really big, but Allen Robinson probably suffers the most, honestly. If any Rams pass catcher, he's going to be the one suffering the most. So definitely can't be trusting A-Rob this week. Not that we could trust him very much before this week either. Robert Woods, Treylon Burks is back. Robert Woods should be on the waiver wire in most leagues. And then Adam Thielen is a guy that I feel like he's like sort of this middle tier where you can talk yourselves into starting Adam Thielen every given week. He's averaging 11.7 PPR points per game. He's gone over 9 points each of his last 3, but he hasn't really had a ceiling game. He's gone over 20 points 0 times this season. No real ceiling for Adam Thielen. Even in games where he's scoring touchdowns, he's just barely getting to 15 points. Doesn't have a game over 100 yards. Doesn't have a multiple touchdown game. He doesn't even have a game over 75 yards this season. So I would be looking elsewhere from Adam Thielen. He's also playing. Let me pull it up here. He's also playing the Bills today. The Bills have a slightly injured secondary, so that'll be interesting to see how Thielen is involved. But I think it'll be a big Justin Jefferson day for sure. Why is Jamal a bench? It's because Swift is almost definitely going to play a little bit more than he has been How are you doing, Sam? I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Do you think Gabe Davis or Ayuk would be better at flex? Yeah. So the Josh Allen injury stuff was obviously important to be monitoring. There was a real chance Josh Allen wasn't going to play, and he is going to play. So you definitely still can start Gabriel Davis. I do like Gabe Davis more than Ayuk this week. This feels like a very big CMC week with the 49ers playing the Chargers. Chargers run defense has been horrible again this season. It's going to be a massive day for CMC. I think Deebo Samuel will be very involved as well. George Kittle obviously back. Also, we also have Elijah Mitchell back this week. All of a sudden, a lot of talented players for the 49ers, and you could argue Ayuk sort of fourth or fifth on that list. Do you like the Broncos today? I actually do like the Broncos today. Let me pull up my picks against the spread. You can find those on the YouTube Live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube Live. You can see my top 15 rankings every position. You can see my DraftKings lineup, my favorite player prop, and you can see all my picks against the spread all on the YouTube Live. Link to that is right in the TikTok bio. If you guys are watching live on TikTok, smash the follow button. If you are watching live on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Really do appreciate all of you on this wonderful Sunday morning. We're on German time this morning. We have a game starting in just 20 minutes, so make sure you get the Seahawks-Bucks game sits in. Godwin or Lockett? Yeah, that one's super close, man. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings, actually, because I think they both are on there, and I'm pretty sure I have Godwin. Yeah, I do have Godwin ranked just a couple spots ahead of Tyler Lockett. Lockett actually didn't make my top 15. I do have DK Metcalf in my top 15 this week. But yeah, it's really close. I personally, though, would go Godwin. Godwin's just been seeing more volume. I know there was some stuff that came out in, I think, the last week. I think he might have even said it himself that he's sort of battling back from the ACL injury still. But he's out there almost every snap, and he's seeing tons of targets. So I don't really know how much to read into that. The Seahawks have weirdly been very good against receivers this season. They've allowed the third fewest fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season, but I believe that's a little bit misleading because they've actually allowed a decent amount of yards. They haven't allowed that many yards either. They're third best against receivers this season. That is the Seattle Seahawks secondary. But yeah, I still think I would go Godwin over Lockett. I do like the Broncos today, though, against the Titans. The Broncos also coming off the bye. You got to assume that can help them out at least a little bit. I like the matchup for Russ, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I like Sutton and Jeudy over their prop lines. They're both at like 52.5. I think that's way too low for both of them. Judy's been just at about at least 50 yards in every single game over the last 5 weeks. And I think Sutton's due for a bounce back game too. The Titans have not been good, guys. They've been bottom 5 against receivers. They've been bottom 3 against tight ends. They've been bottom 3 against quarterbacks. They've been really, really bad in the secondary. I think that could continue today against Russ and the Broncos. So I am taking the Broncos plus 2.5 against the spread. Hey, Sam, how are you? I'm doing great, man. Thank you for asking. Curtis Samuel or George Pickens. Yeah, you got to go George Pickens, I think. I like Curtis Samuel, but Jahan Dotson's coming back, and George Pickens is in a pretty good matchup today. Let me pull up that here right in front of me. Yeah, the Steelers are up against the Saints. The Saints have been so bad without Marshawn Lattimore. They're missing a couple other key pieces, I think, in their secondary. But yeah, they rank bottom 10 against receivers this season. That's great news for George Pickens. Obviously, with no Chase Claypool in Pittsburgh anymore, it's going to be very, very good for George Pickens long term. I know he's coming off, I think, a donut. They might be coming off the bye too. But yeah, George Pickens is definitely startable this week, and I would start him over Curtis Samuel. We are live on YouTube, guys. We are live on TikTok. Come to the YouTube Live to see my top 15 rankings, every single position, my DraftKings lineup, my picks against the spread, and my favorite player props of the day. You can all see that on the screen for free in the YouTube Live. Link to that's right in the TikTok bio. What's wrong with Mike Williams? Yeah, so he's out for a while. Like he's probably out for like close to another month. Why bench Thielen? He just doesn't have a real ceiling. He hasn't gone over 20 points this entire season. He hasn't gone over 75 yards this entire season. It's not a bad matchup against the Bills, but I don't see a ceiling with Thielen, and he clearly has a floor. Nico Collins or Evan Ingram, seeing that one in the TikTok Live. God, you got to go Nico. You can't be starting 2 tight ends, Swift or Williams. It's such a coin flip with the Swift Williams situation. This is why I'm saying Williams. I think Jamal Williams is a bench, because I think Swift. I do think DeAndre Swift is going to. I do think he's going to be more involved this week. But how much is more involved? He only played 10 snaps in his last game. I think it's going to be like 20 snaps, baby, in this game. He's not in the injury report too, which is definitely a good sign for DeAndre Swift. But yeah, it's definitely tough to get a read on the Swift Jamal Williams situation. I personally just like playing the more talented player, but I mean, Jamal had 24 carries last week. So definitely really close. All right. Going to get to some of the comments in the YouTube, TikTok live now. I will talk through sort of my thoughts of each game. But reminder, guys, we are in German time this morning. The game starts in 15 minutes. I got it right behind my screen here. Bucks versus the Seahawks. Make sure you're starting Tyler Lockett. You want to be starting DK Metcalf. You want to be starting Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Even though this is a tough matchup on paper for the Bucks passing attack, the Seahawks have allowed the third fewest yards per game to receivers this season. I'm still buying into the Bucks passing attack, who have been throwing the ball near the top rate in the entire league. These are also tend to be some of the games Tom Brady just really shows up for. Some of these games that are in settings like this. Tom Brady's thrown the ball at least 40 times in every single game since week 3. He had 58 passing attempts last week. That was the most he's thrown this entire season. They just are completely abandoning the run. It'll be really interesting to see if that's what they do in this game against the Seahawks. Obviously, you're starting Kenneth Walker as well. You got to start Kenneth Walker. I would be starting Brady over Geno, but that might be a little bit of a hot take. Geno's been way better than Brady this entire season, especially for fantasy. I still just trust Brady a little bit more with this passing volume than I do with Geno in a run-first attack. Hey, Sam, pick one, full PPR, Jerry Jeudy, George Pickens, or Brandon Ayuka, the Bazooka. I'm going Jerry Jeudy, man. I'm going Jerry Jeudy. This is a good matchup for Jeudy. The Titans have not been good in the secondary. Judy's coming off the bye as well. You got to believe that is good for the Denver Broncos. I like the Broncos to win this game. They're 2.5-point underdogs in this game in Tennessee. Obviously, the Titans have overperformed this season, and they've looked much better than the Broncos this season. But again, the secondary is not good. They've been bottom 5 against basically every single position: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. They've actually been better against running backs, but worse against receivers. So yeah, I do like Jeudy the most here. And I trust Jeudy and Sutton, I think, more so than probably most people are. We got some early start sit questions. Make sure I'm getting to these as much as possible with the German game. Early game help: Lenny, Mostert, St. Brown. Non-PPR. Yeah, oh God, Jordan, if this was PPR, it'd be Amon-Ra St. Brown easy. Let me actually pull up my wide receiver rankings on the YouTube live, because the wide receiver rankings are probably the toughest. Here's my top 15 wide receivers. If you're coming to the YouTube live again, link to that is in the TikTok bio. But I do think that Amon-Ra St. Brown's a must-start player. Even in non-PPR, I kind of want to lean towards Amon-Ra St. Brown, though he definitely gets a huge downgrade without it being PPR. It's between Lenny and St. Brown, though. I mean, Jeff Wilson, in Jeff Wilson's first game, he already played more than Raheem Mostert. That's a huge red flag for Mostert for sure, because there's definitely room for Jeff Wilson to play even more in his second game. I mean, similar to a lot of these guys that are playing in their second game. Kadarius Toney, I think he has some real legs this week. There's last week with all these guys in sort of their first games after the trade deadline, I was more so cautious with these guys. I recommended not starting TJ Hawkinson. That was a mistake. Chase Claypool, he was a decent bench, but he was pretty involved when he was out there. Kadarius Toney was a very good bench last week. But all of these guys are probably going to play more in their second game, because they had to get up to speed really fast in their first game. So I do think a lot of these guys going into game 2, you can start them. Sort of unrelated to the question I have pulled up now, but is Josh Allen playing? Yup, it does look like Josh Allen is playing. I was actually in the camp. I didn't think Josh Allen was going to play, but he's playing. Yeah, he is playing. It'll be really interesting to see if he looks fully healthy, but he is playing. Josh Palmer or Deebo Samuel. Palmer been volume-based. Thanks, bud. Standard League, FYI. Standard League is actually really helpful information. Again, Tobias there. Thank you for tuning into the YouTube live, man. But yeah, I think you got to go Deebo over Josh Palmer. I'm not ready to chase the volume that hard with Josh Palmer over Deebo Samuel. I think you still got to go Deebo Samuel, even though CMC does feel like he bumped down Deebo a little bit. Hey, Sam, I'm a full sub to the app. Jack, thanks so much, man. Yeah, that's the number one way you could possibly support me is by checking out the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android app store. It's completely free to download and try out, but there's also some premium subscriptions in the app that can help you absolutely dominate your fantasy leagues, daily fantasy lineups, and player prop picks. So, Jack, thank you so much for checking it out. And also, if I don't get to your start sit question on this live, I know there's a lot of start sits in the comments, the best place to go is the WalterPicks app, because not only is it going to help you with your start sit decisions, but it also takes into account your custom league settings, which a lot of times I can't do on this live. Okay. Swift or Lazard, Ayuk full PPR. Yeah, I'd probably go Lazard, honestly, over Swift and over Ayuk. I mean, with Romeo Doubs out, we saw it last week. Alan Lazard is the pretty clear wide receiver 1 for the Packers. I think Christian Watson's still pretty banged up too. Someone's asking for the running back list in the YouTube live. You can expect to see CMC at the top of this running back list for the foreseeable future, though I do think Saquon Barkley has a case to be the number 1 overall running back this week against the Texans. I also really like Josh Jacobs this week. Jacobs is one of the few workhorse backs in the league. He's had a bad couple of games, just like really the entire Raiders offense. But I mean, with no Darren Waller, with no Hunter Renfrow, a lot of those touches are just guaranteed to go to Josh Jacobs. Obviously, Devontae Adams should be very heavily targeted too. But this is a very tough matchup for Devontae Adams. They're playing the Indianapolis Colts, who have been a top 2 secondary against receivers this season. So even more reason to like Josh Jacobs this week against the Colts, who have not been very good against running backs, but have been extremely good in the secondary. So you gotta have a lot of confidence in Josh Jacobs this week. Obviously, Derrick Henry is just seeing so many touches. Kenneth Walker is a must start. I actually don't have him in the top 10 this week. I think it's a slightly difficult matchup for him, but he's probably going to go close to 100 yards and another touchdown. So he probably should be in the top 10 realistically. Maybe he should be one spot ahead of Aaron Jones there. But yeah, you got to be starting Kenneth Walker. And with Ezekiel Elliott looking like he's not going to play, it looks like Jerry Jones maybe isn't the training staff that chooses if Zeke is going to play or not. It seems like he's been saying for a while Zeke is going to be playing in this game, and it just doesn't look like that's going to come to fruition. So chalk that up as another example of just you cannot trust Jerry Jones or anything he says. Zeke does not look like he's going to play. That makes Tony Pollard a top 7 option in fantasy. You could argue he's a top 5 option this week. He has a pretty solid matchup this week too. So you got to feel very, very good about Tony Pollard, even if there was that report that he's sort of going to cap out at 30 plays. Well, he's going to get those 30 plays today against the Packers. And the Packers have been really good in the secondary and just absolutely terrible against running backs. They're number 1. The Packers are number 1 in yards per game allowed to quarterbacks. That means they're the best defense against quarterbacks this season, but they're the 3rd worst defense against running backs. They've allowed the 3rd most yards per game to running backs this season. So all that bodes super well for Tony Pollard, who's going to be close to 20 touches today. And we know how efficient he's been. He's averaging almost 7 yards a carry this season. We got a lot of Justin Fields questions that I'm seeing. Let me get to a few more of these German time questions, though. Chris Godwin or Aaron Jones? I would go Chris Godwin over Aaron Jones personally. Jamal Williams or Jeff Wilson? Oh God, yeah, that one's really close. I would probably go Jeff Wilson over Jamal Williams, but it definitely is close, and it's very tough. This is definitely a unique situation for me. I'm putting Jamal Williams on the must bench list. He had 24 carries last week. I don't think there's been someone on the must bench list who had 24 carries the week prior, but it's just such a weird situation with Jamal Williams. And again, DeAndre Swift not on the injury report. I would go DeAndre Swift over Jamal Williams this week, even though he still is probably a little bit banged up. He probably isn't going to play his full allotment of snaps, but he's got to play more than 10 snaps he played last week, I think. Sam, pick 2, Kirk, Sutton, Judy, Pollard, half PPR. Appreciate you. Yeah, I got you, Philip. Thanks for joining the YouTube live. A shout out to everyone in the TikTok live as well. You got to choose 2 here. You got to go Tony Pollard. First off, you need to start Tony Pollard. And then Kirk, Sutton, Judy. I mean, that one's really close. I actually think, I think my top 15 wide receiver ranking list will answer this one actually, because I believe I have Christian Kirk in there right at the end. And I do think Christian Kirk is a little bit better than Sutton and Judy. Christian Kirk's prop line is a little bit higher than Sutton and Judy's too. So I do think he's for sure the option there. So yeah, I guess I would go Pollard and Kirk. Definitely a lot of good options there. I would definitely pick Courtland Sutton over James Conner. Seeing that one in the TikTok live. If you have the early game questions, make sure you start your question letting us know. You got the early game start sits here. We're on German time. This game starts in literally 7 minutes. PPR need to Evans, Olave, Lockett, Lazard, Judy, Jeff Wilson. Yeah, you got to go with some of these first guys. It's really Evans and Olave. You got to go Evans, Olave. I think it's Evans, Olave, Lockett. Yeah, you got to go 3 of these guys. Two of those guys, probably the first 2. Yeah, I'd probably go Evans and Olave there. I would play Mike Evans over Lockett. Again, it's a very interesting one between these Bucs and Seahawks receivers because the Seahawks secondary has been good. They have been very good this season. They have been good, but I just trust the Bucs to throw more than I do the Seahawks. So I like Brady more than Geno. I like Evans more than Lockett. Early game, Adams or DK. Yeah, you cannot bench Devontae Adams. I mean, you just can't do it. He could literally see 15 plus targets this week, even against a really good secondary. Devontae Adams is almost as matchup proof as it gets. Early game, Palmer or Godwin. Got to go Godwin. Why is Jamal a must bench? Just because Swift is off the injury report this week. I think Swift is going to play more than usual. Or at least he has been over the last few weeks. Early game, Dalvin Cook or DK full PPR. Yeah, I'd go Dalvin Cook. Olave or Fournette. Early game, quick. Yeah, you got to go Olave over Fournette. Fournette has a little bit more risk than usual this week. There's been a lot of sort of cryptic smoke around the Leonard Fournette, Rashad White situation, and I do think each passing week it feels like Fournette's just getting riskier and riskier. Early game, good morning, bud. Good morning, Ken. Pick 2, please. Amon-Ra / Miles Sanders / Fournette / Chase Claypool PPR. You got to start Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's no way around the Amon-Ra St. Brown stuff. Start Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't think anyone's going to talk me out of Amon-Ra in any of these start sits today. So first off, you got to start him. Then between the running backs, it really feels like it's between these first two guys. I like Claypool. I think Claypool will be more involved this week. I think he's going to see a decent amount of targets, but I still like Miles Sanders and Fournette more than him. Their floor is still just way, way, way higher. And let's not forget the Bears do not throw the ball very much still. So yeah, I think I'd probably go with Fournette over Sanders, but it's super close. It's definitely super close. Let me pull my running back rankings again. I do think I have Fournette on there right at the very end. Another interesting situation at the running back position. I'm saying Kenneth Walker or Dameon Pierce. You got to start Kenneth Walker. There's no way you can't start Kenneth Walker. I actually think I have Dameon Pierce ranked ahead of him, though, so maybe you can. Wait, let me pull this up. Dameon Pierce versus Kenneth Walker is a really tough one. You obviously need to start both of them, though. I don't know who you're starting, how you're not able to start both of them. Let me see. Yeah, Kenneth. The Bucs are much tougher matchup than Dameon Pierce has. Let me pull this up really quickly. Yes, the Giants. Yeah, I think you got to go Dameon Pierce over Kenneth Walker. And I take that one back. I would go Dameon Pierce over Kenneth, but I don't want to bench Kenneth, man. I don't want to bench Kenneth. Start Tony. I do think you can start Tony this week if you really need to. Like, he's not a must start. But if you are deciding between, say, Allen Robinson and Kadarius Toney, I'm going Kadarius Toney. At least there's some upside with Kadarius Toney. There's no upside really with Allen Robinson. So yeah, I think that's the way I would go with that one. All right, let me pull up my tight end rankings here on the YouTube live. Not sure if I pulled those up yet. Again, if you are watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube live. A link to that's right in the TikTok bio. It's just a way better viewing experience. You get my top 15 rankings every position, my DraftKings lineup, my picks against the spread. I am taking the Bucs, by the way, -2.5 in this game. It feels weird that they're favored because they've been way worse than the Seahawks this season, but the market is just not ready to believe in the Seahawks yet, and neither am I. Start Donovan Peoples-Jones or Rachaad White. Donovan Peoples-Jones is probably the move, man. He's been pretty good. He's been pretty consistent, too. Like, low-key consistent. It has been Donovan Peoples-Jones. I do think he is definitely startable. We have him projected, for right around 10 fantasy points this week, and it's a pretty good match against the Dolphins, who have been in some really high-scoring games. So, I think I'd go Donovan Peoples-Jones over Rachaad White. It's very tough to know. It's very tough to get a read on the Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White situation, but definitely will be all eyes will be on that this week. Urgent, about to hop on a plane. Juju Connor and Russell Wilson or Danny Dunes? Juju or Connor? I would go Juju over Connor, and I would go Daniel Jones. I just almost said Daniel Dimes. Daniel Jones, I would go over Russell Wilson, even though I do like the matchup for Russ. Hey, Sam, good morning. You need to start 3 out of Judy, Lockett, Kirk, Palmer, and Ayuk. Yeah, you bench one of those last two guys. You probably bench Ayuk, honestly. Ayuk definitely feels like he has the lowest floor of all those guys. Geno or Fields, you got to go Fields. You have to go Fields. Fields has been rushing so much. The floor for Fields, the ceiling for Fields, it's just so high, and it's such a good matchup for Fields. Again, I have Fields as my number 4 QB this week, only behind the top 3 guys, Mahomes, Hurts, and Josh Allen. Geno or Trevor? Yeah, you got to go Geno over Trevor. Get Geno in your starting lineup if you're just deciding between those guys. That game starts in literally 2 minutes. We are on Germany time this morning. We got to lock in these start sits. I'm starting Zay Jones at flex because I feel like the Chiefs will have a lead and Jax will need to pass. I like it. Yeah, I do like Zay Jones. Zay Jones is actually in my DraftKings lineup this week. Let me pull up my DraftKings lineup. I'm starting Justin Fields. I'm going with Dameon Pierce, Tony Pollard. I'm starting Amon-Ra, Courtland Sutton. I think you can go Sutton or Judy, but I think less people are on Sutton than Judy right now, so I'm going with Sutton. I'm going with Zay Jones. I really like that logic against the Chiefs. I think Zay Jones is going to be out there almost every snap. I see him going over 50 yards pretty easily today. Has a good chance at a TD as well. I am starting Travis Kelce in this DraftKings lineup. I mean, there's no tight ends on his tier, even close to his tier this week. There's no Mark Andrews on the slate, so you kind of have to be paying up for Travis Kelce, in my opinion. And then Traylon Burks, he's minimum price. He's $3,000 on DraftKings. You cannot be priced lower than Traylon Burks is. It's a risky spot, obviously, in a tough matchup, but I do like Traylon Burks at that price. Defense, I went with the Vikings here, but that was before Josh Allen was confirmed in. There's a lot of salary left over in this lineup, though, that I have up on the DraftKings lineup here in the YouTube live. A lot of salary left over. So a lot of ways you can improve this lineup too. I think you got at least 1,000 salary left over with this lineup. So definitely a lot of ways to go. I think if you're looking to not play the Vikings in this game, I do like paying up for I do like paying up for the Raiders. I do like paying up for the Raiders against the Colts. I mean, I do not think this Jeff Saturday stuff, by the way, is going to work out well for the Colts. It feels somewhat intentional, like they're trying to tank, but whatever's going on with Jim Irsay, I mean, the Colts are going to be really, really bad for the rest of the season. I would be playing Chris Olave or Chris Godwin. You can't be benching Olave at this point with no Michael Thomas, obviously, for the rest of the season. I think Jarvis is going to be back this week, but even if he is, you got to be starting Chris Olave. I have Chris Olave as my number 14 wide receiver this week, which is actually have him ranked behind Chris Godwin in this. Wait, let me pull this up. Yeah, I would go Olave over Godwin. I would, despite what my rankings say here, I would play Olave over Chris Godwin. I think Andy Dalton should be in the top 15 versus terrible Pittsburgh. What teams have been terrible versus tight ends? The Cardinals and the Seahawks have been dead worst against tight ends. I'm still not really in on Cade Otton in this game, though, because Cameron Brate is back, so I think there's some risk with Cade Otton. And there's some risk with Tyler Higbee, too, who's up against the Cardinals because Matt Stafford's not playing. So I still think Higbee is deserving of being a top 10 tight end. I have him ranked number 6 this week in my tight end rankings, but it's definitely a tougher spot without Matt Stafford playing. Josh Palmer, Josh Allen, Justin Fields. Yeah, you got to go Josh Allen over Justin Fields still, in my opinion. Urgent, Cook or Swift? Yeah, I'd go Cook over Swift. I still want to bench Swift if I can. I'm playing DeAndre Swift over Jamal Williams this week, and that might be a big mistake. Jamal Williams had 24 carries. Jamal Williams had 24 carries last week. Swift played 10 snaps last week, but again, I think that's going to be a little bit different this week. He's not on the injury report. He apparently hasn't picked up any setbacks for his injuries, and he's getting close to full health. I think they almost have to play him more this week, and I think it's going to be closer to an even split. And that's enough for me to say DeAndre Swift, who's significantly more talented than Jamal Williams. Tony Pollard or Antonio Gibson. You have to start Tony Pollard. You have to start Tony Pollard 100%. It sounds like Zeke is not going to play, and that's a really, really big deal for Tony Pollard. Thank you for helping me get over 500. I got you, man. Should I start Christian Kirk or CD or D-Hop? All three of these guys are definitely good plays this week. I feel like CD is probably the safest. DeAndre Hopkins is a little bit safer too than Kirk. I have them ranked CD, then Hop, then Kirk. All of them though are good, and Kirk has the best matchup. But yeah, I think I would go CD Lamb personally over D Hop and over Christian Kirk. No Kyler Murray this week is not good for DeAndre Hopkins. Early game, Fournette or Swift urgent. Yeah, this game literally just kicked off, so you are too late if you're still making this decision. I would have said Fournette though over Swift. I do think if you have a good, who won the Ithaca game? Ithaca won 34-17, an absolute smashing. The Ithaca College Bombers, they are 10-0 now, and Cortland is now 9-1. I do think Ithaca has an actual shot, by the way, at the Division III National Championship, which would be very cool. Will Miles Sanders do good? I do think Miles Sanders has a pretty high floor in this offense. I don't think, let me pull it up just to confirm, I don't think the matchup is all that great against the Commanders. Yeah, they've been number 7 against running backs this season. Their secondary has been much worse than their run defense, but still Miles Sanders, we have him projected for 15 carries, 12.5 points. So yeah, he has a pretty high floor in behind the best offensive line in the NFL. And was that Rachaad White? Did Rachaad White just start this game and get the first carry? I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. Yep. That is absolutely what is unfolding on my TV screen right in front of me right now. I don't know if you guys have this game on, but we are on German time this morning. So I hope you didn't start Fournette, because Fournette is literally standing on the sidelines at the beginning of the game. It was Rachaad White up the middle for exactly 0 yards on that first play. But yeah, Rachaad White is starting in this game. Ertz without Murray or Schultz. Yeah, Ertz is definitely a little bit riskier too without Kyler Murray. I do like Schultz this week. Let me pull up my tight end rankings one more time. And yeah, I do have Schultz a couple spots after Ertz still. So yeah, I still think I would go Zach Ertz. Najee or Monty. Najee's so tough. He's so tough to trust. I still think I'd probably go Monty over him. Josh Allen or Jimmy G. If you have Josh Allen, I still feel like you have to start Josh Allen. If he's playing, you got to start Josh Allen. I mean, he's been the best fantasy player this entire season. So if he's healthy enough to play, you got to assume he's going to keep doing Josh Allen things. Russell Wilson, Jimmy G, or Brissett. Yeah, this one's definitely close. I personally would go Jimmy G. He's got really good weapons. It's a very good matchup against the Chargers. And a quick 3-and-out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Really bad start for Tom Brady and this offense. A 40-second, 0-yard, 3-and-out drive. Why bench Jamal Williams? Because DeAndre Swift's off the injury report. I do think he's going to play more this week. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Justin, Dak or Daniel Jones, thanks for everything. I got you, man. And yeah, I would like this one's tough, right? Because we know Dak is much better than Daniel Jones, just at a high level. But also Daniel Jones has been running a lot. And also Daniel Jones gets a pretty intriguing matchup this week. So I actually do have Daniel Jones ranked ahead of Dak Prescott. And I'm starting Daniel Jones in one of my leagues. Let me pull this up here. Daniel Jones gets the Texans. The Texans have oddly been good against quarterbacks. From a fantasy points per game allowed perspective, they're top 5. They've allowed the 5th fewest points per game to quarterbacks this season, but they've allowed the 17th most yards per game this season. So they have allowed a decent amount of yards to quarterbacks. They haven't allowed very many touchdowns, but the Texans have had the dead last run defense in the NFL. So you got to like that for Daniel Jones, who is a pretty frequent rushing quarterback these days. Lazard or Debo, got to go Debo still over Lazard. I get the panic about Debo, but come on, guys. We got to start Debo over Allen Lazard. Tony Pollard, Judy, or Kirk at flex. You got to start Tony Pollard. You have to start Tony Pollard. It's a good matchup for Tony Pollard, and Zeke is out. I mean, there's no way around benching Tony Pollard this week. You have to start Tony Pollard. Noah Cohen, I'll get you those running back rankings. Hey, Sam, Pickens or Zay Jones? I would go Pickens still over Zay Jones. And a quick pass to Metcalf to start this game. Seahawks offense very early on, but Seahawks looking much better than the Bucs so far. Sutton or Montgomery? I'd go Sutton over Montgomery for sure. Pollard or Pierce? Yeah, I'd go Pollard over Pierce as well. I think I have them back to back in my rankings right now. I really want to say Pollard, but we already pulled up the Dameon Pierce stuff. Dameon Pierce is a fantastic matchup this week too. And the thing about Dameon Pierce, similar to Pollard with Zeke out, but even more so, the thing about Dameon Pierce, you know Dameon Pierce is getting 20 plus touches of the football in this game. And there's very few players you can say that about in the NFL. And he gets the Giants. They've been 20th against running backs. So that means 12th worst against running backs. That's who he's up against today. The Giants. And Tony Pollard has an even better matchup than that. Tony Pollard he's up against the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers have been such a run funnel. They've been such a run funnel defense. They've allowed the third most yards per game to running backs. And they're top 5, though, in yards per game allowed to all the other positions. So they're really good at stopping quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends, horrible at stopping running backs. So I do think you can start Tony Pollard over Dameon Pierce. I know, again, I have them back-to-back in my rankings. I'm actually going to adjust this really quickly. We're going Dameon Pierce down to number 7, Tony Pollard up to number 6. Why is Jamal a must bench? It's because Swift is off the injury report. He's off the injury report. Jimmy G or Kirk Cousins? Yeah, I'd go. I think I have them ranked really closely in my quarterback rankings too. I have Jimmy G, I think, ahead. Yeah, I do. I have Jimmy G ranked 8th this week. It's not a bad matchup against the Chargers. How are we feeling about CMC? CMC is my number 1 running back this week, my number 1 running back rest of season. I'm feeling very good about him, especially this week too. I think you have to feel very good about CMC this week. Someone's asking what's wrong with Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's fine, man. I still have him ranked top 15 running back this week. He's not in the top 10. He had 17 carries last week. He scored a lot of touchdowns, guys. He has 5 touchdowns in his last 4 games. He scored at least 1 touchdown in each of his last 4 games. He's gotten over 13 fantasy points each of his last 4. He's gotten over 10 points all but 1 game this season. Like, he's had a big floor. We haven't really seen true ceiling from him. He's only been over 25 points twice this season, but I think he's fine, man. I think people are overreacting a little bit to the Dalvin Cook stuff. I just think he's more of like an RB10 than like an RB1. Pollard or Ayuk? Yeah, I would definitely go Tony Pollard over Ayuk. Andy Dalton or Derek Carr? Yeah, so I get that Andy Dalton has a good matchup this week. I still just don't have very much faith in Andy Dalton just in general. And I also think that, let me pull up the Saints projections here. Yes, the Steelers have been horrible in the secondary. They've allowed the most fantasy points per game to receivers this season. They're 3rd worst against quarterbacks this season. Meanwhile, I have Andy Dalton ranked 20th this week. And it's hard for me to get excited about Andy Dalton with how he has played recently. Let me pull up the Andy Dalton stats, though, just to be sure here that we are not disrespecting him too much. Looks like a good play there by the Bucs defense to send the Seahawks off the field and get the ball back. And yeah, Dalton's had one big game, and that came against the Cardinals back in week 7. He also threw 2 pick sixes. In that game, he threw 3 interceptions in that game. So depending on your scoring system, might not have been as good of a game. But the thing is, the Ravens secondary has been bad this season. The Raiders secondary has been bad this season. He didn't go over 20 points against either of those defenses. They're clearly sheltering him just a tiny bit. I'm not fully confident in Andy Dalton. This week, I would play Derek Carr over him. Monty or Mostert. David Montgomery or Mostert, yeah, I'd go Monty over Mostert. You just can't trust Mostert at this point. Why bench Adam Thielen? Should I pick up Russell Wilson on free agency? Colt McCoy with Murray out. Yeah, play Russ over Colt McCoy. Play Russ over Colt McCoy for sure. We're live on YouTube and TikTok, by the way. On the YouTube Live, you get access to my top 15 rankings, every single position, all my picks against the spread, and you get my DraftKings lineup and a free player prop, all in the YouTube Live, which is just scrolling on the bottom of the screen. You can see it for free. Link to that is in the TikTok bio if you're watching live on TikTok. I don't trust Thielen just because it's not a great matchup for him against the Bills. Plus, he hasn't had a ceiling game. There's no ceiling games. He hasn't gone over 20 points a single time. The ceiling is really just not there for Adam Thielen, but the floor is still like pretty low. So I don't love Adam Thielen by any means. Tony Pollard or DeAndre Swift? Yeah, I'd go Tony Pollard over Swift. Why they bench Fournette? Yeah, I don't know exactly why he's getting benched, but Fournette did not start in that first drive. I do think he's going to play still in this game, but he did not start in that first drive. Very bad sign for Leonard Fournette in this game. Move your head, says the TikTok live comments. Allen Lazard or Jerry Jeudy? I'd go Jerry Jeudy personally over Allen Lazard. And Lazard is looked great. Let me pull this up actually before I lock in the Jerry Jeudy over Allen Lazard, because Lazard looked very good in that game with Romeo Doubs out. He's looked good pretty much all season. He's gotten actually over 10 points every single game this season, except for his very first game of the year, which he played not very much. He was coming off an injury in that game. He's been over 10 points every other week. He was a top 10 wide receiver last week. That came against the Lions, though, who we know are pretty trash. This week, he gets the Cowboys defense, and they've been pretty good against receivers. They've been 9th best against wide receivers this season. That's not as good for Lazard. And meanwhile, Jeudy gets a great matchup against the Titans. They've been bottom 5 against receivers. So, yeah, I do think I would go Jeudy. I do think I would go Jeudy over Allen Lazard, but it certainly is close. Pollard or Aaron Jones? We're going Pollard. We're going Tony Pollard over Aaron Jones. Tony Pollard has a better matchup than Aaron Jones has. So, yeah, you got to go Tony Pollard. The Cowboys have been number 15 against running backs. Meanwhile, Tony Pollard gets a great matchup on the other side of this game against the Packers themselves. And the Packers have been such a run funnel. They're such a run funnel defense. They are a very good secondary, and they're horrible against the run. They are 3rd worst against running backs this season. They have the 3rd most yards per game allowed to running backs this season. MVS or Herbert? I'd probably go Herbert over MVS, even with Mecole Hardman out. I think Mecole Hardman being out, though, does get me a little bit more excited for Mecole Hardman. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you smash the subscribe and the like button. We're going to be live basically right up till kickoff of the early window games. We got a game going on right now, too. We were on Germany time this morning. I hope you guys benched Leonard Fournette when you had the chance. It does look like he's back in there, though, now there for the second drive. But he did not start this game. Rachaad White did start this game over Leonard Fournette. Huge catch there by Mike Evans. Sam Mooney or Swift for a touchdown? Yeah, I do like Mooney this week. I think Mooney is being a little bit slept on with the Chase Claypool stuff, but I think I like Swift to score a touchdown more than Darnell Mooney. Mooney's not the biggest touchdown scorer. Pittman or Lazard? God, Michael Pittman is such a tough guy to get a read on for fantasy football, given his crumbling organization and just crumbling offense behind Sam Ehlinger. I mean, there's at least one light of hope for Michael Pittman, that Matt Ryan is at least going to be active for this game, and it sounds like Matt Ryan will play if Sam Ehlinger continues to be terrible, and he probably will continue to be terrible because he was a 6th round draft pick, and those guys are almost never good in the NFL. I mean, almost never. He was not only was he a 6th round draft pick, he was picked at the very, 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 very end of the 6th round. He was the 33rd pick in the 6th round. So we basically went 6 entire rounds of the NFL draft, and nobody picked this guy. So yeah, Matt Ryan is the sole light of hope for Michael Pittman. But yeah, I still think I'd go Lazard this week over Pittman. Dolch or Higbee? Really tough tight end decisions this week. And realistically, almost all of these guys are going to be doing terrible. But I do still have Higbee ranked ahead of Dolch just because of the matchup. It's a really good matchup. The Cardinals have been so bad against tight ends this entire season that I do feel like you got to feel pretty good still about Higbee, even coming off the donut. He's coming off a donut. He's been horrible each of his last 3 games, but this is a get-right spot for Higbee, even without Matt Stafford playing. Dolch or Muth. Yeah, Dolch or Muth. Muth is definitely a close one. Definitely a close one as well. I do have Muth ahead of Dolch as well. And I'm generally lower on Dolch, Greg Dulcich, than most people, just because I'm down on rookie tight ends. It's very rare for rookie tight ends to be as consistent as Greg Dulcich has been. I'm playing Tony Pollard over DeAndre Swift for sure. I'm playing Tony Pollard over basically everybody. If you come to the YouTube live and see my top 15 running back rankings, again, the link to that is in the TikTok bio, you'll see that Tony Pollard is ranked number 6 for me. I'm only playing CMC, Saquon, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler over Tony Pollard. That's it. And I had Leonard Fournette also ranked all the way down to 15 this week, so definitely was benching him in a decent amount of spots. Do I start Justin Fields? Yes, you do start Justin Fields. I would play Sutton over Devontae Smith. Why bench them all? It's because DeAndre Swift is off the injury report this week, and that doesn't mean he's fully healthy, but it does mean he's probably going to play, almost definitely going to play more than he played last week. Only 10 snaps last week. There's no way Jamal Williams sees another 24 carries in this game, and even with the 24 carries last week, he still had 80 scoreless yards. I think Jamal Williams has a pretty low floor this week. I would be trying to look elsewhere from Jamal this week. Tua or Fields? I do have Fields ranked ahead of Tua, and really it's because of the rushing. But I don't have Fields ranked ahead of Jalen Hurts. Let me pull up my QB rankings again on the YouTube live. But I don't have him ranked ahead of Jalen Hurts. I think you got to play Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Mahomes over Justin Fields, but nobody else. Valdez-Scantling or Curtis Samuel? Yeah, I'd go Curtis Samuel over Valdez-Scantling, though I will say Valdez-Scantling does get a little bit of a bump with McCole Hardman out. Swift or Najee? I think I would go with Swift over Najee. What are your defense rankings this week? I don't have defensive rankings up on the YouTube live. I did just see the Bucs miss a field goal in Germany there, so it's still 0-0 after one big catch from Mike Evans. But the defenses to play this week, let me actually just pull it up here. I'll go through some of them. Obviously, the Raiders are a really good defense to be playing this week against the Colts, who have a coach who has never coached past the high school level and a quarterback that's a 6th-round pick. The Raiders are going to hopefully destroy. I would expect to destroy them. I would expect the Raiders to destroy the Colts in this game. I also do like the 49ers defense against the Chargers. 49ers defense has been really elite this season. They're 7.5-point favorites at home in that game. Eagles versus the Commanders. They got to be near the top of the defensive rankings as well. And then last but not least, I guess the Giants can be considered against the Texans. They're also at home, 5-point favorites in that game. So there's some defenses to consider this week. Kittle or Hawkinson? Man, I really want to start TJ Hawkinson, but I do have him ranked behind George Kittle. Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, then TJ Hawkinson for me. So Hawk is number 4. And Hawkinson sort of the end of the tier of tight ends that I trust at all this week. And I do trust Hawk based on that first game. Like we were saying earlier in the stream, the guys that were just playing in their first game for their teams last week, TJ Hawkinson, Chase Claypool, Kadarius Toney, and a couple other guys, like they're going to play more this week, almost definitely. You know, you can assume that after their first game, they get a little bit more acclimated and they're going to play more. But that's actually not true for TJ Hawkinson because he can't really play more. He played basically every snap last week in his very first game, 86% snap share, 9 targets, guys. 9 targets at the tight end position. You know you are an elite tight end in fantasy football when you are not scoring touchdowns and you're still finishing as a top 5 tight end. That's exactly what TJ Hawkinson did in his very first game with the Vikings. I like him a lot this week too against the Bills. Gabe Davis or Devontae Smith? Yeah, I would still go Gabe over Devontae Smith. Amon-Ra or CD? I'm not benching Amon-Ra this week. You got to start Amon-Ra. I think Amon-Ra is still as pretty much elite as it gets at the wide receiver position. Bruh, please answer mine. Bruh, I always see those comments and not the actual original comments. Sutton or Judy is really close. Yeah, they actually both their prop lines are at 52.5. I'm personally siding with Sutton this week, a little bit over Judy, but it's super close. I just think Sutton still has a slightly better chance at those touchdowns. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Elijah. I will pull up the wide receiver rankings in a second. Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, Wan'Dale Robinson. Good luck today, as always. Thanks, man. And yeah, this one's tough. Antonio Gibson, I think, is the move, though. With J.D. McKissick out again, I do think that really, really increases the opportunity for Antonio Gibson. How many points do you think Fournette will finish with? Honestly, at this rate, under 10. Under 10 would be my guess. It's been a very, very rough start for him not starting this game. It feels like he's going to be switching off drives with Rachaad White, though they've only played 2 drives, so we'll have to see. I'll pull up the wide receiver rankings. Know someone was asking for those. Those you can find on the YouTube live, by the way. That's my top 15 wide receiver rankings. Josh Allen is playing. Williams is a bench because he's going to be losing more snaps to DeAndre Swift this week. Swift is off the injury report this week. Gabe Davis or Terry McLaurin. I'd go Terry McLaurin over Gabe Davis. Deontay Johnson or Curtis Samuel. You got to start Deontay Johnson. Guys, Deontay Johnson is a very, very good fantasy play this week, but also every week moving forward. His floor is just so high. He is one of the safest floors of all wide receivers, and not even just this season. Like over the last 3 years, there's been a very few receivers that have had as good of a floor as Deontay. Now with Chase Claypool gone, we're going to continue to see a really high floor. And we've sort of only seen the floor this season. We haven't seen a real ceiling yet from Deontay Johnson. He's been over 8 points every single game except for one, but he has not gone over 17 points in a game this season. So he's been between 8 and 17 in basically every single game this year. That's really good for PPR fantasy leagues. And I think Deontay Johnson is going to do well again today. So yeah, I do like Deontay in his floor, and I still don't think we've seen his best game this season. DeAndre Swift or Miles Sanders. Yeah, I'd go Miles Sanders over Swift. I'm still starting these running backs over Swift if I can, even though I do think Swift will play more this week. Hawkinson or Kmet. Got to go TJ Hawkinson, man. Hawkinson's in that elite tier of tight ends all of a sudden. So yeah, you definitely got to go with TJ Hawk, in my opinion. Absolutely no running room for Kenneth Walker out there right now. Judy, Lamb, Palmer. Yeah, I'd probably go Lamb over Judy and Palmer. Pick one full PPR: DeAndre Carter, Treylon Burks, or Jamal Williams. Yeah, this is pretty ugly. I think I would go Jamal Williams here or DeAndre Carter. I would not start Treylon Burks. I'm starting Treylon Burks in my DraftKings lineup, but only because he's minimum priced. I think Treylon Burks kind of needs to be benched in all other situations. Is Allen worth starting? Yes, Allen is worth starting. Olave or Palmer? I would go Olave over Palmer. Swift or Jeff Wilson? Can't believe I'm asking that. Yeah, that's just so brutal. So brutal for Swift. And I mean, Swift is just so much better than Jeff Wilson, but I do think you can start Swift over Jeff Wilson. Do you have kicker rankings? Nope. I am not the guy to go to for kicker rankings, though we do have kicker rankings in the WalterPicks app for free in the iOS and Android App Store. Hey, Sam, thoughts on Foreman's performance and fantasy value? Yeah, it seems like he's pretty clearly locked in as the top running back. Chuba Hubbard did not play as much as I thought he was going to play. And yeah, he's a back-end running back too, though, in my mind, still on what is not a very, very good offense. Please answer my question. I got you, man. Bad bye week. Elijah Mitchell or Greg Dolch, half PPR flex. You can't start Elijah Mitchell. And I don't want to start two tight ends, but you cannot start Elijah Mitchell. You can't start Elijah Mitchell in his first game back. Hey, Sam, trying to help my dad in a league. I got you. He wants to start Andy Dalton, but I really like Derek Carr. What do you think? What should I say? I said he played well one game versus Arizona. Yeah, look, if he wants to go, if he really wants to go Andy Dalton, like, go with Andy Dalton, man. At some level, you do got to make your own decisions. Why do we have Williams benched? Because DeAndre Swift is coming back and going to play more this week. He's not coming back. He wasn't gone, but he was basically gone. He only played 10 snaps last week, but he's off the injury report this week for the first time. And I do think that's kind of intriguing. And I do think that's going to mean he's going to play a little bit more. Jamal Swift or Curtis Samuel for a flex. Yeah, I'd personally go Curtis Samuel in this one. Just avoid the entire Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift situation if you can. Wandale or Treylon Burks, 32-man league. You got to go Wandale, I think, over Treylon Burks. Zeke or Pollard? Yeah, I'd go on Pollard. Zeke's not even going to play, it doesn't look like. It sounds like all signs are pointing towards Zeke not playing today. Grass is a major issue, apparently, on this field. Seems like also the Seahawks are sort of the home team in this game. By the way, Rachaad White did start over Leonard Fournette in this game as well. Pierce or Palmer? You got to go Pierce. You can't bench Dameon Pierce. Should I start Josh Allen? Yes, you should start Josh Allen because it's Josh Allen. Even if he's hurt, if he's playing, you got to trust him to be healthy enough to do Josh Allen things. Hey, Sam, please answer. Devontae Smith or Chris Olave? Yeah, I'm going Chris Olave for sure over Devontae Smith. This is disgusting. Kyler out for me. San Francisco Wolford or Mostert / Sutton. Yeah, Sutton's definitely the best player on that list. I still think you could start Wolford because at least he's a quarterback. But I'd probably go Sutton. Pittman, Pollard, Devontae Smith. Yeah, you got to go Pollard. And Pittman versus Devontae Smith. Honestly, I think I would go Devontae Smith over Pittman. Pittman is just so risky. If you're starting Pittman, you're almost just praying Matt Ryan somehow finds the field. And if that happens, that probably means the Colts offense is off to another really, really bad start. But yeah, the Colts offense, guys, they have a horrible offensive line, a horrible quarterback, a horrible coach. I mean, they have nothing really going in their way right now. Is Carr a good fill-in for Kyler? He's an okay fill-in for Kyler. Yeah, I think I do have Derek Carr in my top 15 quarterback rankings. Let me pull these up. Yeah, I do. He's number 9. So yeah, he is a pretty good fill-in at the quarterback position this week. Shout out to everyone on the TikTok and YouTube live, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be live for another couple of hours here leading up to the kickoff of the early window games. We do have a game in Germany going on right now, 0-0 still, Buccaneers versus the Seahawks. Keeping you guys updated on that. We'll get to as many of these start-sits in the comments as I can, but as a reminder, the number one way you could possibly help me out, checking out the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android app store. You can find that app in the YouTube description and the TikTok bio. It's completely free to download, completely free to try out. And there's a lot of start-sits that I'm not going to get to on this live that can easily be entered into the WalterPicks app. And also that takes into account your custom league settings and scoring settings and roster settings too, which I can't always do. And I don't always get that information in these start-sit questions. So definitely check out the WalterPicks app if you haven't checked it out yet. I really do appreciate that. I'll pull up the tight end rankings on the YouTube live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube live. Link to that is in the TikTok bio. You'll get my top 15 rankings, every single position, plus my DraftKings lineup and all my picks against the spread on the YouTube live. All right. Who do I start, Swift or Pollard? There should be no Tony Pollard questions this week, guys. There really shouldn't. The latest report is that Zeke isn't going to play. That's still not officially official, but it does seem like it's trending that way. And just the fact that it's trending that way is a good sign that Tony Pollard's going to out-touch Zeke this week, even if Zeke plays. So yeah, I have a lot of faith in Tony Pollard this week. It's a very good matchup against the Packers. Again, the Packers have been a very, very much a run funnel defense. Their secondary is very good. Their run defense is absolutely atrocious. And that's very good for Tony Pollard this week. Update on Kyler. It doesn't look like Kyler's going to play. And even if he plays, I don't like him very much this week. His hamstring is injured, and that's a very tough injury for a player like Kyler who does run around a lot, even when he's not really running. He's running around behind the line of scrimmage. It's going to be tough for him to play in this game, I think. Hey, Sam, Josh Palmer, Amari Cooper. Yeah, I'd still go Coop over Josh Palmer. Wolford or Mills? I'd still go Davis Mills over Wolford. Why would you bench Jamal Williams? It's really because I'm nervous about DeAndre Swift being off of the injury report. DeAndre Swift only played 10 snaps. He only played 10 snaps last week. It's almost definitely going to be more than that this week. And I could easily see Swift outscoring Jamal for the first time in a while. I basically just don't think Jamal is going to see that 24 carry mark that he saw last game. It seems like Swift's health is trending in a positive direction. That's why I'm out on Jamal Williams this week. What's up, Sam? Big game versus the league leader this week. Need to bench one, St. Brown, Amari Cooper, Debo, or Dameon Pierce. Yeah, so you're not benching him on Ross St. Brown. And you're not benching Dameon Pierce either. So it's between Amari Cooper and Debo Samuel. I personally would be benching Amari Cooper, and I'd be playing Debo Samuel. I still think Debo is extremely, extremely, extremely talented, and I don't want to bench him. Amari Cooper's been great this year too, but I'm personally playing Debo over Amari Cooper. So yeah, I guess I bench Amari in this one. Please help Hopkins or Sutton or Palmer. Yeah, I think I'd rank them in that order. I'd go Hopkins, then Sutton, then Palmer. Even with Colt McCoy, I still think that Hopkins gets a slight edge over Sutton and definitely over Palmer as well. Hey, Sam, please answer Najee or Jamal Williams. Oh, God, man. It's so tough with Najee, too. It's very hard to get a read on that situation. I would play Najee over Jamal Williams this week, but it's very close, and I don't feel great. I don't feel great about it. Najee Harris is just not a guy that anyone can really trust right now. He has been seeing volume still, but he had his least touches that he's had in maybe his entire career last week. Only 14 touches, and all these reports that Jaylen Warren's going to be more involved. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but yeah, I still think I would go Najee over Jamal. Again, I'm very nervous about Jamal Williams with Swift off of the injury report this week. I mean, all of Jamal's fantasy value has come at the heels of DeAndre Swift's injury. Please help Hopkins or Sutton or Palmer. Yeah, I think we just got that one. I would definitely start Hopkins over Sutton and over Palmer. Man, a lot of these spammy NFL links in the YouTube live. That's how you know our YouTube lives are getting big. Good morning, Sam. Start Swift or Connor at RB, then start 2 Amon-Ra, Kirk, or Lamb. How we doing, Tad? Good to see you in the YouTube live, man. Swift or Connor at running back is tough. I feel like Connor's safer, but I personally would go with Swift. And then start 2, Amon-Ra, Kirk, Lamb. Yeah, you got to go Amon-Ra and Lamb. As good as Kirk is in the spot, I would be going Amon-Ra and CeeDee Lamb pretty confidently. And I don't really love starting Swift and Amon-Ra, but I think it's fine. I think starting both those guys together, you're going to get a decent amount of catches in receiving yards out of those two. David Montgomery or Miles Sanders. I'd be going Miles Sanders over David Montgomery with how good Khalil Herbert's been playing. Hey, Sam, Debo, Sutton, or Palmer. Yeah, I think we just got a similar one to this, except it was Hopkins, Sutton, or Palmer. And I would rank these guys, I still think, in this order. I would go Debo first, then Courtland Sutton, then Josh Palmer. Zay Jones or Brian Robinson in the flex. I'd personally be going Zay Jones. I actually do really like Zay Jones this week. I am actually starting Zay Jones in my DraftKings lineup. Really like his matchup in the slot against the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. Not much going for the Bucs offense, but they do still have the ball second and long. Is Josh Allen going to play? Yeah, Josh Allen is going to play. He is going to play. Hey, Sam, who do I start in the flex? We got DeAndre Swift or George Pickens. Yeah, go George Pickens. Any way you can get off of the DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams duo, you kind of do want to do it. It is a risky backfield to be trusting, but also one of those guys is going to outperform expectations. And I think it's going to be Swift this week, not Jamal. That's why I think Jamal's a must bench. And I do think you can start Swift. All right, DraftKings lineups. Yeah, so this DraftKings lineup is a little bit different than the ones you guys have seen in the past because there's actually like $1,000 of salary left over. And I think you should adjust the defense in this DraftKings lineup now that we know Josh Allen's likely playing. But I really do like going with Justin Fields in DraftKings this week. I do think he'll be very popular, but for very good reason. Dameon Pierce, Tony Pollard, two of my favorite running backs at their prices. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm starting in every single lineup again this week. The thing with Amon-Ra is just his floor is so high, and we know his ceiling is really high too, and we really haven't seen the ceiling very recently. So I really think Amon-Ra is being slept on just across the board. I like Courtland Sutton a little bit more than Jerry Jeudy, and I think Jerry Jeudy might be played a little bit more than Sutton. So I'd like playing Sutton in DraftKings this week. And again, Zay Jones is another receiver at a really low price. I do really like paying down for Treylon Burks in tournaments. I wouldn't do this in a head-to-head contest, but Treylon Burks is minimum priced. He's minimum priced this week. He's back for the Titans as likely their top receiver. So that seems a little bit ridiculous. I am going Travis Kelce in the tight end slot. And again, you should change out the Vikings defense. There is a lot of salary left over in this DraftKings lineup that's on the YouTube live right now. Pick 2, James Conner, Gabe Davis, Palmer. James Conner, Gabe Davis, Palmer. Yeah, I'd probably go with Josh Palmer and Gabe Davis over James Conner. Why bench Jamal again? It's just because the Swift being off the injury report. I do think Swift almost definitely plays more than his 10 snaps this week. I know that the Bears' run defense is bad, guys. I do know that the Bears' run defense is bad. This is more about Swift playing more. I just don't think Jamal Williams sees 24 carries again this week. I think Jamal Williams is going to be closer to the 10 to 12 carry mark. He is still definitely startable, though. Both guys are definitely startable against the Bears' defense. I think there's a lot more risk to Jamal Williams than people are realizing this week specifically with DeAndre Swift off the injury report and coming off a game where he had 24 carries. I just think people are a little bit ahead of themselves with the Jamal Williams stuff. I do expect him to see the ball less this week than he did last week. So even though he's got a good matchup, I mean, he had a good matchup last week too against the Packers, only 80 yards, no touchdowns in that game. And again, he had 24 carries. I just don't see 24 carries coming his way. Jamal or Christian Kirk in a non-PPR, man, I always do like to side with the running backs in the non-PPR leagues. Hold out on Kyler or start Jacoby/Dalton. Don't hold out hope for Kyler because even if Kyler plays, he's not going to be at 100% in this game. So I would not hold out hope for Kyler Murray. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. Come to the YouTube live to see my top 15 rankings, every single position, my DraftKings lineup, and my And we're back on the YouTube live. Not sure what happened there, YouTube people. Sorry about that. Okay. Why benching Thielen? He just hasn't had a ceiling at all this season. What do I do with Josh Allen? You start Josh Allen. Why Jamal Williams? Jamal Williams has a good matchup. I think you need to be cautious with Jamal Williams out there. I do think Swift is going to play more than he did last week. I don't think Jamal Williams is going to see 24 carries again in this game. So that's my concern with Jamal. He still can be started. But he is a much riskier start than I think people are realizing. And again, I get that it's a good matchup against the Bears. The Bears have been bad against running backs this season. Jamal, though, I just don't see him getting 24 carries. I'd be pretty surprised if we see him crack over 20 points this week. Hey, Sam, Swift, Sutton, or Mooney at flex. Yeah, I'd go Sutton over Swift, over Mooney at flex, especially if this is a PPR league. Hey, Sam, love the WalterPicks app. Got 2 questions. Hudson, I got you, man. And thank you for it. Shouting out the WalterPicks app. That is the best way you could possibly support me. Rondale or Gabe Davis PPR, and then Thielen or Jarvis Landry PPR. Rondale or Gabe Davis, I would probably go with Gabe Davis over Rondale with Kyler injury. And then Thielen or Jarvis Landry, I would go Thielen still over Jarvis, even though I am not too excited about Adam Thielen overall. Again, he hasn't had a really high ceiling this season. I still think he's better than Jarvis Landry, who we have not seen play in quite some time. Najee or Jeff Wilson, and Judy or Pittman. Yeah, I still think you go with Najee over Jeff Wilson, but it's definitely really, really close. And then Judy or Pittman, I personally would be going Judy over Pittman. I don't think you can trust Pittman right now in his offense situation. Hey, Sam, CD, Juju or Olave, non-PPR. Yeah, you got to go CD over Juju and over Olave, especially in a non-PPR league. Hey, Sam, premium sub. Is Brandon Cooks trustworthy this week, or should I start MVS? Yeah, Cooks is a weird spot. I do think he is trustworthy. I still think he's pretty clearly the best receiver on the Texans, and I think that's what we'll see from him today. I do think he'll lead the Texans in targets. Thanks for the reply. You're the GOAT. Got one more. Got you, Jonah. Pat Fryermuth or Gerald Everett. Let me pull up my tight end rankings here. I do think they're both on my tight end rank. Oh, I already have them up actually right now. Yeah, I do have Gerald Everett one spot ahead of Pat Fryermuth. Again, with no Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. I do think Gerald Everett is startable. But we got a TikTok live subscriber, I think, in the TikTok chat. Oh, nope, not looking like it. But if you guys do subscribe to the TikTok live, you will get your comments answered 100% of the time. Should I start CEH or Brian Robinson? I haven't seen the official word on Jerick McKinnon yet, and he is questionable. And that actually would kind of have a big impact on the confidence we could have in Clyde and in Isaiah Pacheco. But I do think McKinnon is going to end up playing. So I don't think I would start Clyde there. Hey, Sam, Juju or D-Hop? With no Kyler, I'd still go D-Hop over Juju, even with no Kyler. D-Hop's still going to see a ton of targets. Guys, we are live on YouTube and TikTok. On the YouTube live, you get my top 15 rankings, every position, and my picks against the spread, and my DraftKings lineup. And Julio Jones is into the end zone. The Buccaneers go up 7-0 against the Seahawks. Julio Jones, I think that might be his first or second touchdown maybe of the season. Ayuk or Olave? Got to go Olave over Ayuk, man. Never get my question answered, and I subbed. Oh, Josh, man, hate to hear that, man. I always see these comments, but not the actual questions that you're asking. And I will try to get to as many comments as I can, but it is definitely tough to get to all of them, which is why you should check out the WalterPicks app as well. Here we go. Mostert or Pacheco? Yeah, I mean, it's a lose-lose situation here, Josh, but I do think I would go Pacheco over Mostert. Again, there is a little bit of hope here, too, with Jerick McKinnon potentially being out. Jerick McKinnon played like 60% of the running back snaps in the Chiefs' last game. And I think that could be Pacheco or Clyde seeing a lot of those snaps this week. So I do think those guys can be started in a lot of spots. But yeah, I would play Pacheco over Mostert. I think the Mostert probably projects better. He probably does project better than Pacheco. I'm told to start Fournette. Thoughts on Dotson? Yeah, Emily, thanks for subscribing to the TikTok live. Really do appreciate that. I can't trust Jahan Dotson his first game back. I'm still like bullish on him sort of in his career, like long term. But I still think he's behind Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel in this offense. But I am intrigued. And I will be watching Jahan Dotson very closely. He has not played since week 4. It's week 10. So we haven't seen him in quite some time, but he did go over 13 fantasy points in 3 of his first 4 games of his career. So I think there's a really high ceiling there with Jahan Dotson. I'm excited to see him back out there, but definitely not trusting him this week. Hey, Sam, I have to start 2 of these guys. Sutton, Ayuk, Pickens, Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I would start Deontay Johnson over Pickens pretty easily, and I would start Sutton over the rest of these guys too. So I would go Deontay Johnson and Cortland Sutton. I think those guys are tiers above the other ones. Why bench Jamal Williams? Hurry TF up, says the TikTok live. I've answered the that same exact Jamal Williams question several times on this live, but yet really it's because of DeAndre Swift and him not being on the injury report. That this is me thinking that DeAndre Swift is going to play a lot more than he did last week. He only played 10 snaps last week. Jamal Williams saw 24 carries. I don't see him getting 24 carries this week with Swift not even on the injury report. I think it's going to be closer to the 10-15 range, which isn't terrible. He's playing the Bears. He can still do okay with 10 to 15 carries against the Bears, but I just would really temper expectations for Jamal Williams this week with Swift looking like he's getting healthier and healthier. Good morning, Sam. David Montgomery or Josh Palmer? I would go Josh Palmer in a half PPR over David Montgomery. What's up, Sam? How we doing? Tim in the YouTube live. No, Kyler. Do I go Goff, Carr, Heineke off the waiver wire? Yeah, it's Goff or Carr. I would not go Heineke off the waiver wire. I personally would probably go Derek Carr. It's not a great matchup. It's not a great matchup for Derek Carr, but at least you have the coaching stuff going in your favor with Derek Carr against the Colts. I do think I have Derek Carr ranked ahead of Jared Goff. Yeah, I do. I want nothing to do with the Commanders quarterback. Dak or Kyler. You can't start Kyler. Kyler's probably not even playing this week, so you got to go Dak. Guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers did just score a 31-yard touchdown to Julio Jones. The Seahawks about to get the ball. That game started a little while ago. Which Lions RB, bro? Yeah, so I'm going Swift over Jamal this week just because Swift is off the injury report. Start Russ or Cousins. Yeah, I do think I have Kirk Cousins ahead of Russ. I would start Kirk Cousins over Russ. And I do like Sutton and Judy, but I don't really love Russ. Russ has been really, really tough to trust this season. It's a good matchup for Russ. Coming off the bye too. There's a lot to like for Russ this week, but he's been too risky to trust this season. Mooney or Pollard, you got to start Tony Pollard this week. If there's one thing you take away from this live and you have Tony Pollard, it's you got to start Tony Pollard. He has a really good matchup against the run funnel defense of the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are top 5 secondary, bottom 5 run defense. And when those two things combine, you get even more running against your defense. That's what it's going to be for the Cowboys against the Green Bay Packers today. And Zeke is not expected to play. Even if Zeke does play, he's clearly not at 100%. Tony Pollard is going to touch the ball more than him, and that's huge to know going into this game. So, you got to start Tony Pollard for sure. Josh Allen or Tua, I would still go Josh Allen over Tua. If Josh Allen's playing, I'm playing Josh Allen in fantasy. It really is that simple. Najee or Jamal, I do like Najee more than Jamal. Should I start Jones? Yeah, Aaron Jones can be started. The reason I don't love Jamal this week is because DeAndre Swift is off of the injury report. All of Jamal Williams' fantasy production has come off the DeAndre Swift injury. Jamal Williams had 24 carries last week, and DeAndre Swift only played 10 snaps. I don't think that's going to be the case again this week. I would play Swift over Montgomery as well. Again, this is a really good matchup for Swift too. Jamal Williams is a good matchup as well. Again, it's more about the workload and how I see that working out. That's why I think Jamal Williams is a bench. Olave or Amari Cooper, I would go Olave over Coop. I believe if I pull up my wide receiver rankings, that is how I have it ranked there as well. Yep, it is. D-Hop or Amon-Ra. I'm not benching Amon-Ra this week. Do I bench Etienne or Eckler for Pollard? Nope. You're not benching either of those guys for Pollard. Both those guys are top five options. Why is Thielen a bench? Because he has no ceiling. He has had no ceiling this whole season. It's not a great matchup against the Bills, though they do have some injuries to the secondary. I'm just not excited about Thielen every week. He has a low floor and no ceiling. So what are we playing Thielen for? He can't go. He's not going over 20 points. He doesn't have a single game over 70 yards this whole season. Lazard or Connor? I personally would be going Lazard over Connor. Lazard did look pretty good with Romeo Doubs out, though it is kind of a tough matchup for Allen Lazard this week. Hey, Sam, please tell Palmer or Deontay. I'm going Deontay Johnson over Josh Palmer. I really do like Deontay Johnson a lot. I think he's being really, really slept on in fantasy. He's one of my favorite buy lows right now. We have not seen Deontay Johnson's best game this season, and he still has a really, really good floor as the top target for the Steelers. All right, let me get back to some of these YouTube comments. We are live on TikTok and YouTube. On the YouTube Live, you get a lot more info. My top 5 rankings, every position, my top 15 rankings, every position, all my picks against the spread, DraftKings lineup, all that can be found on the YouTube Live. Link to that is right in the TikTok bio. Kirk Cousins or Trevor Lawrence. I do like T-Law more than Kirk Cousins this week. Not by a ton, but Trevor Lawrence is up against the Chiefs. That game is going to be pretty high scoring. Trevor Lawrence also coming off one of his best games of his career where he marches back down 17 points against the Raiders, and he really brought his team back in that game. I do like Trevor Lawrence a lot against the Chiefs. Why are we benching Jamal? We are benching Jamal. We are benching Jamal Williams because DeAndre Swift is off the injury report, and that's pretty concerning for Jamal. I think it's going to be closer to a 50-50 split, maybe like 60-40 in favor of Jamal, but that still probably means more fantasy points for Swift than Jamal in what's a good matchup for both of them. Just about a matchup just bought a membership. Wow, Andy, thank you for that, man. Yeah, the number one way you could possibly support me is trying out one of the premium subscriptions in the WalterPicks app that's on the iOS and Android app store. So really do appreciate that. Dameon Pierce or Kenneth Walker. Yeah, so I have them ranked really high, both of them. But it's too late for this question, Andy. Kenneth Walker's already playing. He's already playing. We were on German time this morning. That game's, I think, heading into maybe the second quarter right now. I did have Dameon Pierce ranked ahead of Kenneth Walker for the record, but both guys are really good starts. Pierce or Hopkins? Yeah, I think I would go Pierce over Hopkins with the Kyler injury. Swift or Miles Sanders? That one's close too. I feel like Sanders is much safer. Swift has a much higher ceiling, but it's definitely close. I personally would be playing Swift over Sanders. Thielen or Sutton? Definitely Sutton over Thielen. Start Juju or Amon-Ra at flex. I'm not benching Amon-Ra. You guys start Amon-Ra. Would you rather have Pittman or Claypool? This week and rest of season, it's got to be Pittman still. I need Sam Ehlinger to stop starting. I do think Chase Claypool, you could start him over Pittman this week with Sam Ehlinger starting. It definitely is reasonable. I still feel like there's a good case for Pittman though too. It's definitely close. I personally would say Pittman this week and rest of season, but again, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Claypool with Sam Ehlinger. Swift, Jamal, or Connor. I don't know if Swift is getting 10 plus touches and Jamal still has goal line touches. Yeah, I disagree with the Swift stuff just because he's off the injury report. It's giving me maybe too much confidence in DeAndre Swift. But if you do have both of them in your third options, James Conner, just start both of them. It's a really good matchup for the Lions rushing attack, and you're just locking in the entire backfield against a really bad Bears run defense. So yeah, I do like playing Swift and Williams together. You're really locking in a lot of touches in a good spot. Full PPR need a flex. Brandon Cooks, Jeff Wilson, Ayuk, and is Brian Robinson droppable? I don't think Brian Robinson is droppable. I still think he is the primary first down back in his offense. I don't want to start Jeff Wilson. I don't really want to start Brandon Cooks, but I don't really love Ayuk in his matchup either. I do think I would probably, if this is PPR, I think I would go Brandon Cooks. If it's not, I think I would go Jeff Wilson. Oh, you did say it's PPR. Yeah. So I think I would go Brandon Cooks. Sam, hope you're having a great day. It's a great day, man. Yeah. We already have football on our screen. I'm not seeing how the Bucs just got the ball back. I assume that must have been some sort of turnover. I did not see that play. Someone can let me know in the live. How did the Bucs just get the ball back? They literally just scored. I missed that turnover. Let me get to this question though. Debo or Amon-Ra? Yeah, so we're not benching Amon-Ra today. Agent Dragon game 05. We're not benching Amon-Ra today, man. We're not benching him. You have to start Amon-Ra for sure. Hey Sam, Olave or Pittman? Got to be Olave over Pittman. Goff or Heineke? I'd go Goff over Heineke. Just a 3 and out. That was a really fast 3 and out. I guess time's flying just from the live stream. But thank you to that commenter letting me know that was a 3 and out, not a turnover. Seahawks offense struggling a little bit to start this game. 3 and out for Seattle. Yeah, yikes. They started much hotter, at least in the first 2 drives, and it's been downhill ever since for the Seahawks, feels like. Who should I put at my flex? Deontay, Cooks, Gabe, or Judy? Deontay, Cooks, Gabe, or Judy? I really do like Deontay Johnson as the safest player on this list. He has a 10-point floor, and we haven't seen his true ceiling yet this season. I personally would be going Deontay Johnson over all of these guys. Amari Cooper, Lazard, or Palmer. Yeah, I'd go Amari Cooper over Lazard and Palmer. Still Ertz over Everett if Kyler's out. Yeah, still Ertz over Everett, I think. Even if Kyler's out, I still like Ertz a little bit more than Everett this week. Why should I bench Jamal? It's because DeAndre Swift is off of the injury report. Who at tight end, Dolchich or Ertz? I'm going Ertz over Dolch as well. Pierce or Cook PPR, you got to start Dameon Pierce for sure. Mike Evans having a great game so far in this first half. Chiefs or 49ers defense? Got to go 49ers defense for sure against the Chargers. Hey, Sam, pick 2, Swift, Jamal, or Pierce. Yeah, you got to go Pierce. And I'm playing Swift over Jamal this week. I am playing Swift over Jamal this week. Again, that might end up being a mistake. I know Jamal's had the goal line work. Jamal's played much more than Swift. But Swift is off of the injury report. Like, what are we supposed to do with that information? Swift is not on the injury report at all. We still can assume he's not fully 100%, and they clearly don't want to rush him back too fast. But if they're not putting him on the injury report at all, like you got to assume Swift plays much more than he played last week, which was only 10 snaps. I think it's going to be closer to half the snaps for Swift. I think at least a third of the snaps for Swift. And yes, that does make him startable against the Bears. Khalil Herbert or A.J. Dillon. I would go Khalil Herbert over A.J. Dillon. Really tough to trust A.J. Dillon at this point. Sutton or Amari Cooper. I would be playing Amari Cooper over Sutton, but it definitely is close. Rondale Moore or George Pickens. I'm going George Pickens over Rondale Moore, especially with the Kyler injury. Just a little bit more nervous about Rondale Moore this week. Pierce or Pollard? Yeah, you got to go Pierce. We're not benching Pierce. We did switch to this actually. Someone asked this question earlier, and we did have Pierce one spot ahead of Pollard, but Pollard has a better matchup than Pierce even does. So yeah, we are playing Pollard over Pierce. It is close for sure. It's close, but yeah, I am playing Pollard over Pierce. They're back to back in my running back rankings. You can see my top 15 rankings, by the way, every single position on the YouTube live. Link to that is in the TikTok bio. You're like 2 presses of your finger away if you're on the TikTok live to getting to the YouTube live, still right on your phone. And you can see all of my rankings, every single position on the YouTube live for free. So come to that. That will answer a lot of the comments I'm seeing in the TikTok live. If you guys are watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button. Really do appreciate that. If you're watching live on YouTube, smash the like button. Really do appreciate that as well. Happy Sunday, bro. Matt, happy Sunday, man. Pick one, Murray, Edmonds, or Rams running backs with Zeke doubtful, PPR. Yeah, so we're not playing the Rams running backs. Don't do that to yourself, man. Matt, don't do it to yourself. Murray, Edmonds, or Rams running backs. Yeah, which is Murray? I'm assuming that means Latavius Murray. God, I feel like you should go Edmonds. I kind of feel like you should go Edmonds. I don't think you can start Murray. Montgomery or Jones standard. Yeah, you got to go Aaron Jones. I still think over David Montgomery. Pretty good run there by Leonard Fournette. So it seems like he's been pretty involved since that first drive. Khalil Herbert or Tony Pollard. You got to start Tony Pollard over Khalil Herbert for sure. Matt Friedman. I traded Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, and Ayuk for Amari and Saquon. Did I win? Yeah, you definitely won. Especially with DeAndre Swift coming back and getting healthier. Josh Allen or Kirk Cousins. Definitely Josh Allen over Kirk Cousins. Yeah, Josh Allen, like, he's playing. He's going to do Josh Allen things. He's playing. So start Josh Allen. I wouldn't overthink the Josh Allen injury. If he's playing, he's got to be pretty healthy. Hawks going to win. It does not look like the Hawks are going to win. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are marching, and they're up 7-0 so far in this game. Juju, Dalvin, or Pierce. At flex, yeah, I would go Pierce over Dalvin, and I would go Pierce over Juju. Let me put my picks against the spread one more time on the YouTube live. We have been 53% against the spread this season. Is Zeke going to play? No, it does not look like Zeke is going to play. It does not look like Zeke is going to play. He's trending towards not playing. So just chalk that up as another example of we can never trust Jerry Jones. You a hater, Jamal way better. Look, I am hating on Jamal Williams a little bit this week for sure, but for good reason. Jamal Williams, he had a season high 24 carries last week, and there's almost no way he comes near that mark again this week with DeAndre Swift off of the injury report. DeAndre Swift is not even on the injury report. I think Jamal is going to be just back to his normal workload in this offense, which is like between 10 and 15 carries, which is not terrible. He still can have a good game, especially if he gets those goal line touches against the Bears. But I would rather play Swift this week. And we know Swift is significantly more talented than Jamal Williams too, which just automatically gives him a higher ceiling if he has a chance to also get more touches. I've seen your rankings, but I don't know about Higbee over Schultz. Yeah, I thought about the Higbee stuff. Higbee is really tough. I mean, he's really tough to trust. Like, he projects well against the Cardinals. He still is out there almost every snap, which is why he is ahead of Schultz in my projections. But he's done nothing. I mean, nothing over the last 3 weeks. It is tough for me to wrap my head around projecting Higbee for a good game when he had 0 points in his last game, and he's been under 6 points in each of his last 3. Obviously, he started the season really hot, but he is still out there almost every snap. He's still running a decent amount of routes each week. So I do think against the Cardinals, like, this is a bounce back spot, though again, tough without Matt Stafford playing. So I would be fine. I would be fine starting Schultz over Higbee. Personally, I would be fine playing Schultz over Higbee. You can't play Otten. I don't know what this comment is. But that was a big catch by Chris Godwin that I just saw there. Hey, Sam, A-Rob, McKenzie, or Burks? I feel like it's about to be a K-Dot and TD with that comment. A-Rob, McKenzie, or Burks? Oh, God, I don't want to start Allen Robinson, Marino, but I kind of feel like you might have to in this spot, I do think. Wow, I don't know how he almost dropped that. I do think A-Rob's probably a better option than McKenzie and Burks in PPR leagues. I would not start Burks. You really can't start Burks in his first game. I do think you can start him on DraftKings at minimum price though. Um, when is Chase coming back? I don't know. I don't understand that question. Chase Claypool, is that who you're talking about? Oh, Jamar Chase. I'm assuming. Yeah, it could be. It could be as much as a month. They gave a really wide timeline with the Jamar Chase stuff. Really tough to get a read on that injury as well. Jalen Waddle and Cooper, or take out both, and take out Jarvis Landry. Yeah, take out Jarvis Landry. Play Jalen Waddle and Cooper. Explain Jamal, please. Yeah, the Jamal Williams sit. Getting a lot of comments about the Jamal Williams sit, which is expected. It is really just because DeAndre Swift is clearly getting more healthy. He's not even on the injury report this week. He's literally off the injury report. And so many of the touches for Jamal have come because of this DeAndre Swift injury. So it's really just recognizing that and being realistic with the number of touches Jamal is going to get today. He's not going to get 24 carries today. He doesn't need 24 carries to have a good game. He's playing the Bears. But he's going to have closer to 10 to 15 carries, significantly lowers his floor, significantly lowers his ceiling. And we also just know that DeAndre Swift is significantly more talented than Jamal Williams. And this is not even shade at Jamal. DeAndre Swift is just one of the most talented running backs in the league. So him not being on the injury report really does freak me out a lot with starting Jamal Williams. So that's the Jamal Williams take. You can definitely still start him if you don't have another good option because he does have a good matchup against the Bears. But I would just temper expectations a little bit for Jamal with DeAndre Swift off of the injury report. Josh Allen, meanwhile, he is going to play today. And you have to start Josh Allen if he's playing. The other big injuries, though, Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford, both not expected to play. That's really bad news for Allen Robinson. It's also bad news for Tyler Higbee, but it's a good matchup for Higbee. So I still think Higbee can be started. So someone's saying in the TikTok live, someone's saying, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Jamal Williams averages more yards per carry than DeAndre Swift. And it's like, bro, like, did you even look at the numbers? Like, no, he doesn't. DeAndre Swift averages 6 yards a carry. That is the second most in the NFL. Jamal Williams averages 4.1 yards per carry. So, like, literally a full 30% less than DeAndre Swift. I mean, it's not even close. Any sort of argument that Jamal Williams is just straight up more talented than DeAndre Swift, I mean, like, we can't even have a conversation. Like, the conversation's over before it started. You can't argue Jamal is better than Swift and then also just lie about their yards per carry numbers. Like, we can all look up the yards per carry numbers and see that Swift does average significantly more yards per carry than Jamal. Oh no, now he's backtracking. Oh, but he has less carries. Bro, that's not what you said. You said that he has less yards per carry. And this is the whole thing with why I think you should bench Jamal this week is Swift has, yes, he's touched the ball significantly less than Jamal Williams because of his injury, and he's not on the injury report today. And he's clearly getting more healthy. He has had no setbacks, and he's clearly more talented. So if there's a good chance, I'm not saying a guaranteed chance, obviously, because Swift has been not playing nearly as much as he would if he was fully healthy. But again, he's off the injury report today. So there is a real chance Swift plays as much as Jamal. So yeah, you got to play Swift over Jamal. If that is a possibility, and we know DeAndre Swift is significantly more talented than Jamal Williams against a really bad Bears run defense, both guys can be started. But Swift is a better start than Jamal, and I just think Jamal is a little bit riskier than people are realizing in this game. And yes, Jamal Williams does average less yards per carry than DeAndre Swift. Leonard Fournette did just score. Okay. Brissett, Heineke, Dalton, or Jimmy G. I mean, people are really down bad at quarterback this week, especially with the Kyler and Matt Stafford injuries. So we've gotten a lot of questions like this. I personally do think Jimmy G is a pretty good start. I think it's going to be a big Christian McCaffrey game, obviously, for sure. I want nothing to do with Heineke. I think Dalton is kind of interesting in his spot. He has a good matchup against the Steelers, but don't really love it. Can't believe I'm asking this, but Jonathan Taylor or Singletary? Yeah, Marino, you got to go JT over Singletary still. I'm actually really excited to see JT back out there. He's sort of the one Colts player I have confidence in this game because it's not going to be too surprising if former offensive lineman Jeff Saturday just really leans into the running attack. So I do think that that's very possible for the Colts, and I could see 20 plus touches for JT even off the injury. And Deion Jackson's out this week too, and he's their primary third down back. So that's even better for Jonathan Taylor as well. Kyron Williams, Monty, or Dillon. Pick one. Yeah, I'd go Monty over Kyron Williams and Dillon. Let's see what Kyron Williams really does. He's been sort of quietly hyped up in the background like all season, but this is really going to be the first game where Kyron Williams is playing and healthy. So we can't start him in his very first game, really. And then Monty, I do like a little bit more than A.J. Dillon. Dalvin Cook or Amon Ra. I would still go Amon Ra, I think, over Dalvin. If it's a PPR league. If it's not a PPR league, I think it's a little bit closer. JT, Dalvin, Pollard, or Juju. Oh, God, man. You really want to start all three of these first three, Jordan? You're not starting Juju over any of JT, Dalvin, or Pollard. But I do think it's Pollard. I do think it's Pollard in a really good matchup with Zeke likely not playing today. I do think you kind of have to go with Tony Pollard. Lazard or Deontay Johnson, I would definitely go Deontay Johnson over Lazard. Let me pull up my wide receiver rankings again on the YouTube Live. Again, come to the YouTube Live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube. On the YouTube Live, you get my top 15 rankings, every single position. Every single position. And you get my DraftKings lineup completely free. Dak or Herbert. Yeah, I would go. Herbert's definitely really scary. He's definitely really scary this week. Let me pull up my quarterback rankings again. I do think I have Dak one. I do. I have him one spot ahead of Justin Herbert this week. Weather update. Yeah, thank you for asking that. Let me pull up the NFL weather report here. We were pretty on the money with the weather Thursday night. And just at a quick glance, there is not any weather to be concerned about today. The windiest game is likely going to be that Texans-Giants game, but only 11 miles an hour of wind. Not looking like really any rain. We might get a little bit of snow, though. There might be some snow today in the Vikings-Bills game. That one's in Buffalo. There could be some snow in that game. It's going to be a cold game between Buffalo and Minnesota, but nothing to really be concerned about for fantasy football. Hey, bro, Dameon Pierce or Nick Chubby? I would be going Dameon Pierce over Nick Chubb. Why bench Jamal? It's just because DeAndre Swift's DeAndre Swift is off the injury report today. Any word on Josh Allen? Yeah, the word is that he's going to play. That's the word. So Josh Allen is going to play. Why are you benching Jamal? It's really just because Swift is off the injury report this week. So I think Swift is going to play pretty considerably more than he did last week. Lazard, Swift, or Jamal. If you have to choose between any of these three, this is a PPR league. I think you could consider Lazard. I like Swift the most. I like Swift a little bit more than Jamal. Jamal might be a little bit safer though. So like from risk to safety, I would probably go in this order. Personally though, I'm starting Swift over Lazard and over Jamal. Zeke or Mostert. You can't start Zeke. It does not look like Zeke is going to play, so you have to play Mostert. Sutton or Devontae Smith. I'd be going Sutton over Devontae Smith for sure. Guys, we're live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. If you're watching live on TikTok, smash the follow button. If you're watching live on YouTube, hit the like button. Also, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube Live. You get my top 15 rankings every position. Link to that is right in the TikTok bio. Tony Pollard or Josh Palmer, I would go Tony Pollard over Josh Palmer. Should I drop Kadarius Toney for Kyron Williams? No, I would not drop Kadarius Toney. I think Kadarius Toney could be much, much more involved this week, especially with McCole Hardman out. Hollins or Gallup? Yeah, I'd lean towards Gallup over Hollins. I know neither have been very trustworthy. Can I see your tight end rankings? Yeah, I got you with the tight end rankings. Tight end rankings were pretty tough this week. It's tough ranking Tyler Higbee this week because he plays the Cardinals. They've been second worst against tight ends this season. A really, really good matchup for Tyler Higbee. But then we also know Matt Stafford's likely not going to play, and Higbee's been really bad over his last few games. So definitely tough week to be projecting Tyler Higbee. Is Swift an RB1 this week? No, I don't think he's an RB1. I think he's probably closer to a high-end RB2, but there's a wide range of outcomes for Swift. This is sort of the whole take here with the Swift Jamal Williams stuff. There's a very wide range of outcomes for DeAndre Swift, which also means there's a very wide range of outcomes for Jamal Williams. If DeAndre Swift hits his peak ceiling of his range of outcomes, it's likely that Jamal Williams only saw like 10 to 15 carries in that game. So that's sort of there's a very, very wide spectrum of how much DeAndre Swift is going to play. But I'm taking the position that Swift is probably going to be closer to the ceiling of his range of outcomes because he's not even on the injury report. He's clearly been trending in a positive direction. They've held him out long enough that he seems to be close to full health. And at least that's what the injury report says. So I do feel a little bit better about Swift than I did last week. And I had Swift as a must bench last week. Zeke or Connor. Also, I dropped Kenyon Drake. For Kyren, you have to play Connor. It doesn't look like Zeke is going to play. I don't feel strongly about Kenyon Drake versus Kyren, though Kenyon Drake at least has done more recently, but I don't think it's a huge deal to be adding Kyren and dropping Kenyon Drake. Who you like for anytime touchdown scores today? Yeah, so I do like Sutton to score a touchdown today. I think the odds on that one are probably pretty solid. I certainly like the Tony Pollard odds as well. Is Josh Allen okay? Yeah, so the Josh Allen injury stuff was very, very concerning and important to monitor. Obviously, there's a NFL landscape shifting injury for Josh Allen, but he is playing today. It does look like he is playing today, so we'll all be able to see how he looks. But you got to start Josh Allen in fantasy if you have him. Swift or Pollard? Yeah, we're playing Pollard over Swift, 100%. Judy or Deontay Johnson? That one's really close. I would probably be going with Deontay Johnson over Judy, but it's very, very close. Is Swift trustable? I do think you can trust Swift at least more than you could last week. He's almost definitely playing more than last week. They didn't even list him on the injury report. Why bench Williams? Again, it's really that same thing. Because Swift is on the injury report, that's why we're benching Jamal Williams. Wide receiver rankings, let me pull that up. I will get to that comment right above as well. Sam, you had my question up but didn't answer. I'm sorry about that. Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Deontay, or Gibson. I would definitely go Dalvin Cook here. I would play Dalvin Cook over Aaron Jones. I'd play Dalvin Cook over Deontay Johnson and over Antonio Gibson. What's up, Sam? Swift or Mooney at flex? Adrian, how we doing, man? I would go Swift. I would go Swift over Mooney. I would not play Swift over Olave, though I'm saying that one in the TikTok live. Why are we benching Jamal Williams? It's a good matchup for Jamal Williams, so that's why it can be tough to bench him. I think that's why I'm getting a decent amount of pushback on the Jamal Williams bench. Like, you can start Jamal if you don't have another good option. He's certainly the best option of all these other guys on this must bench list. But I will say, again, Swift is not on the injury report this week. And I think Swift is going to get close to the same amount of work as Jamal this week. And so that's a pretty big downgrade for Jamal, who had 24 carries last week. So definitely a little out on Jamal Williams this week. Brissett or Jones? I'm playing Daniel Jones over Brissett. Let me pull up the DraftKings lineup. I will say again with the DraftKings lineup this week, there's like $1,000 of salary left over in this DraftKings lineup. So there's a lot to tinker with here. I would adjust the defense. I do like playing the Raiders defense against the Colts. More than I like playing the Vikings defense against the Bills with Josh Allen playing now. I do like playing Justin Fields, even though a lot of people will be playing him this week. Good matchup for him against the Dolphins. I also really like playing Sutton and Amon-Ra on DraftKings this week as well. Pollard or Jamal Williams? Definitely got to go Pollard over Jamal Williams. Swift or Jamal Williams I'm siding with Swift this week. Again, there's a really wide range of outcomes though, for sure. Swift, Pierce, Sutton, Lamb, Palmer, full PPR. Thanks. Pierce, Sutton, Lamb, Palmer in a full PPR league. Yeah, I mean, you really want to be playing either Pierce or Lamb. I don't think you're considering Sutton or Palmer between these four guys. I personally would be playing Pierce, though. Again, there's very few players in the NFL that are locked in. I mean, locked in to 20-plus touches every single week. And this week it is absolutely, again, Dameon Pierce is one of those few guys. So I do think that you got to start Dameon Pierce. It does not look like Zeke is playing, no. Josh Allen or Jimmy G? I personally would be playing Josh Allen. If you have Josh Allen, you got to start Josh Allen. I know that he's hurt, but he's playing. So I think we have to start Josh Allen. Swift should be a must bench. Yeah, so Swift was a must bench last week. This is the thing. And you got to react to new info as it comes. And Swift was off the injury report this week for the first time. Swift is not on the injury report at all. It's pretty clear that Swift is getting healthier. And this has been the plan. Like, this is why they haven't been playing him very much. They're trying to get him back to full health. How much work he sees, in my opinion, has been very dependent on how they felt about his health. His ankle and shoulder injury, removed from the Week 10 injury report. He was listed questionable after Friday's practice last week. So it really is an improvement from last week. He was questionable last week. This week, it is expected to handle a little bit more touches this week. He had just 5 touches last week. I think he's going to be closer to the 10-15 touch range, along with Jamal Williams this week. I think both guys are going to be in the 10 to 15 touches range this week. Okay. Need a flex. Sutton, Palmer, Mooney, or Mostert. Sutton, Palmer, Mooney, Mostert. Yeah, I would definitely go Sutton over Palmer. I would go Sutton over Mooney, and I would go Sutton over Mostert. I think he's a really strong flex this week. I do like Sutton to score TD this week as well. Pierce or Etienne. Yeah, I would lean towards. Let me pull this up. I do think I would lean towards Etienne. I do have Pierce just 2 spots ahead of Etienne. It's really close though. It's really close. I want to start both guys. Both guys are top 10. You really should be able to start both guys. Trevor Lawrence or Jimmy G. Yeah, I would lean towards Trevor Lawrence over Jimmy G. 2 of Juju, Pollard, Pierce. Yeah, I'd go Pollard and Pierce, both over Juju for sure. You got to start Tony Pollard this week. 100% you have to start Tony Pollard this week. Should I try and trade Najee? Yeah, good luck though. I mean, you can try to trade Najee, but you should have traded him like back in week 2. Schultz or Higbee. I do have Higbee ranked ahead of Schultz, but it's really close. I wouldn't knock you for starting Schultz over Higbee this week. Honestly, after the top 4 tight ends, you're really already grasping at straws this week at the tight end position. It's really brutal. It's a really, really brutal week for tight ends with no Mark Andrews. And with Kyler injured and with Matt Stafford injured, that's a pretty big knock on Zach Ertz and Higbee, but I still have them ranked pretty high in my tight end rankings. This week, again, if you want to see my top 15 rankings every position, come to the YouTube Live. Link to that is in the TikTok bio. Is Josh Palmer out? No, Josh Palmer is in. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are out again, though. Palmer or Ayuk? Yeah, I would lean towards Palmer over Ayuk. I would play Tony Pollard over. Let me go back up to that one. Over JT. Yeah, I would play Tony Pollard over JT. Dak or Lawrence. Let me pull up my QB rankings here again. And yeah, I do have Dak just a couple spots ahead of Trevor Lawrence. JT or Debo, that one's really close. I'm okay going JT over Debo. I like Jonathan Taylor this week. I do. Tua or Fields? I do have Fields ranked ahead of Tua because of his rushing. What's the weather like at the games? There's no weather to be concerned about. There is potentially some snow in the Bills game. That's Buffalo versus the Vikings. And there is some potential snow, but not much wind. It's actually not even that cold. It's like 35 degrees. So not much weather to be concerned about. Since you said you like Dalvin more than Aaron Jones, you might want to change the RBs. Oh, because I have that flopped in the RB rankings. I'll check that out in a second. Start 2, Palmer, Mooney, Debo. Yeah, I'd go Debo over Palmer and Mooney. And then I'd probably go Palmer over Mooney as well. But definitely that one's pretty close. But yeah, the Debo one is very easy here. Let me pull up the running back rankings here. Yeah, I do have Aaron Jones ranked a few spots ahead of Dalvin Cook. Let me pull up the matchups there. Let's see. The Packers are up against the Cowboys, who have been number 15 against running backs. Not terrible, but not great either. And then let's pull up the Vikings here. Yeah, the Bills have been really good against running backs as well. Yeah, I actually changed my mind here looking at these rankings. I still would go with Aaron Jones. I still would go with Aaron Jones over Dalvin Cook. It's a really tough matchup for Dalvin Cook against the Bills. I do like Aaron Jones just a tiny bit more than Dalvin Cook, even though I feel like Dalvin Cook has been a little bit hated on this year, more so than he deserves. Connor or Jamal? Yeah, I still think I would go Jamal over Connor. What's your top tight ends? So my top 4 tight ends really quickly. If you come to the YouTube Live, you can't see my top 15 rankings every position. That's in the TikTok bio. But I have Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson as my top 4 tight ends. Honestly, I feel like the top 4 are the pretty clear top 4. I don't think you can argue really anyone else in that top 4. But I think after that, like you could argue all day long about who's number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 at the tight end position. But again, those top 4, Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, I feel like are really in the tier of their own. Terry McLaurin or Courtland Sutton? Yeah, I would lean towards Sutton over Terry McLaurin. I do really like the matchup for Sutton and the matchup for Judy in coming out of the bye against the Titans. What do you think I could get out of Lamar in a trade? You can hopefully upgrade one of your starters. That would be how I sort of think about it. How can you upgrade one of your running backs or receivers and by giving away Lamar? Do I start Hopkins? Yeah, you can start DeAndre Hopkins for sure. The main reason Jamal Williams is a bench is because DeAndre Swift is off of the injury report, and he clearly is getting more healthy. That's why I would also play Swift over David Montgomery. I'm struggling with starting two out of these guys, Swift, Jamal, or Connor. Walter says sit Swift. I would just start Swift and Jamal personally. I would just start Swift and Jamal Williams. I think that's a pretty safe route if you do have both of them. Yeah, I would play if you have to decide between Swift, Jamal, and Najee. Seeing this one in the TikTok live, just start Swift and Jamal. It's a really safe approach because they have a really good matchup too. Like, you know that this Lions rushing attack will generate some offense in this game. Again, I'm nervous for Jamal just because I think Swift is getting healthier and he's going to play more than he did last week. He almost definitely will play more than he did last week. He barely played. He played only 10 snaps. I don't think Jamal sees 24 carries, but it certainly is possible Jamal still has a good game. So if you have both guys, I'm okay starting both guys. Kyron Williams, seeing that from a TikTok live subscriber. Yeah, so Kyron Williams is going to be playing this week, and there's been a lot of rumblings throughout the whole season that he might actually be their lead back for the Rams, but we haven't really seen him play this whole season. He played back in week 1 and was hurt basically instantly. But I do think Kyron Williams is worth a stash. He's not worth a start. It's too tough to start him this week. Sutton or Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I would be playing Sutton over Deontay Johnson, but I do like Deontay Johnson a lot this week. Let me pull my DraftKings lineup again on the YouTube live. Again, there is a lot of wiggle room on this DraftKings lineup. Thoughts on Swift? Yeah, so I've talked a lot about Swift and Jamal. I feel like that's been the primary point of conversation in this live stream today, which isn't surprising because I am listing Jamal Williams as a must bench. And he's probably closer to a fringe bench, if we're being honest, than a must bench. But really, it's because Swift is off the injury report. Swift is off the injury report. And that's been the main reason Jamal's been playing so much. He's clearly healthier than he was a week ago. So I think Swift is startable. It's a good matchup for the Lions rushing attack too. Swift or Pollard, I'd be playing Pollard over Swift 100%. So yeah, Swift is a start, but I'm not starting him over Pollard. There's definitely still some better options than Swift. Also, Palmer or Rondale, I would be playing Palmer over Rondale. You like this long shot parlay? Let's take a look. ETN, Saquon, Amon-Ra, and CMC's TD scores, and Saquon over 95 rushing yards, and Olave over 62 yards. Don't hate it. Yeah, I could definitely see all those guys scoring touchdowns today. There is a free player prop of the day. Let me pull it up here. And it is Jerry Jeudy, over 52.5 receiving yards. I like this line for Sutton too. It's a similar line that they gave to Sutton. Jerry Jeudy's been like at or above 50 yards in basically every single game over the last month and a half. Let me pull up the game logs here for Jerry Jeudy really quickly. And yeah, he's been over 50 yards in each of his last 5 games. He has no less than 53 yards in a game over the last 5 games. And he has a great matchup this week against the Titans. The Titans have been bottom 5 in the league in yards per game allowed to receivers this season. I think Jerry Jeudy pretty easily goes over 50 yards. And this prop line is just so close to his floor of 50 yards. So I do like Jerry Jeudy over 52.5 receiving yards. Peoples-Jones or A.J. Dillon. I would go Peoples-Jones over A.J. Dillon. Hope your day's off to a good start. Thanks, man. Appreciate the positivity. Should I start Josh Allen or Mahomes? I would go Mahomes over Josh Allen. He's sort of the only guy I think I'm starting. Him and Jalen Hurts, I think, can be started over Josh Allen, and that's it. Then you got to start Josh Allen. I don't know how you have Mahomes and Josh Allen, though. Why bench Jamal Williams? It's really because of the DeAndre Swift injury. It is the DeAndre Swift injury that I am concerned about with the Jamal Williams stuff. Hawkinson or Dolch? Yeah, I'm going Hawkinson. I am going Hawkinson over Dolch. We'll pull up the DraftKings lineup one more time on the YouTube live. Zeke isn't injured. I don't think that's accurate. I think he is injured. We are getting reports that it's likely he will not play. So I'm assuming if you don't think Zeke is injured, you probably get your news just straight from Jerry Jones. And we know Jerry Jones lies a lot with stuff like this. So we know that Zeke is injured. He did miss last week with an injury, and it is likely that he is not going to play today. So that's huge for Tony Pollard. Leonard Fournette or Christian Kirk? Yeah, I do like Christian Kirk this week, and we got to stop asking these Bucks. We got to stop asking these Bucks questions because this game already started. I probably would have said Leonard Fournette over Christian Kirk, I think. But yeah, Fournette did score a touchdown today already because we're on Germany time this morning. We're on German time. This game is at halftime, I think, right now. Zay Jones or Rondale Moore. I would go Zay Jones over Rondale Moore. I do like Zay Jones a lot. And you got to be nervous for Rondale playing with Colt McCoy. Pick 2, Montgomery, Palmer, or Kadarius Toney. I would go the first 2. I would go Montgomery and Palmer over Kadarius Toney. I'm only playing Kadarius Toney if I'm really down bad. Like, I'm only playing Kadarius Toney if I have to, like, Allen Robinson, for example. Dulcich or Everett. I do have Everett ranked ahead of Dulcich this week. Lawrence or Jones. I do like Daniel Jones more than Trevor Lawrence. Pretty good matchup for Daniel Jones against the league worst run defense. Fields or Tua this week. I also have Waddle. Yeah, I still think Fields is a better play than Tua. Even if you have Waddle, I do really like Fields. Yeah, so like the Higbee stuff is really tough for me, Randolph, too. Like, and this is what I'm saying. After the top 4 tight ends, I don't feel strongly about the rankings of the tight ends. I think you could really go a lot of different ways with these tight end rankings after the top 4. Again, the top 4 I think are really in their own tier. Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson are the only tight ends I really, really do trust. Higbee has a really good matchup, though. That's why I have him ranked so high. Even though he's been so bad, he's still been out there basically every single play. He played close to 90% of the snaps last week, and the Cardinals have not stopped a single tight end this whole season. They ranked second worst in the NFL against tight ends. Let me read you off some of the tight ends that have had big games against the Arizona Cardinals. It's pretty much all of them. They played Travis Kelce back in week 1. He hit 121 yards. Darren Waller, Foster Moreau combined for 80 yards. Tyler Higbee played this defense back in week 3. He had 4 catches, 61 yards in that game. We also have Dallas Goedert going for 95 yards against this defense. We had Noah Fant go for 96 yards last week against this defense. So yeah, I think Tyler Higbee does have a decent ceiling against the Cardinals, even without Matthew Stafford playing. But he definitely is really risky too. He did have a donut literally in his last game. Do you think Kenneth Walker can still get 10 plus? Yes, he definitely can. Calm down, Andrew. LMFAO. Cook or Lazard? Yeah, I would be going Cook over Lazard. And yeah, we don't need to. We don't need to spam. The YouTube live, we don't need to spam in the comments. Really loving Amon-Ra this week. Hopefully we can have a week to repay. Yeah, I really love Amon-Ra this week too, Max. I'm right there with you with Amon-Ra this week. I'm starting in my DraftKings lineup. I really, really think Amon-Ra is being slept on right now. We have not seen his true ceiling in quite some time, but the targets are there, man. The targets are there, and Amon-Ra is going to continue to ball, in my opinion. Why bench Jamal? Why bench Jamal? Why bench Jamal is most of the TikTok live comments, and most of the reason that I think Jamal Williams is a must bench. And for the YouTube live people, you're like, why do you keep talking about Jamal Williams? It's because Jamal Williams is in the background as a must bench on the TikTok live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube live, see my top 15 rankings, every position. But the reason to bench Jamal is because DeAndre Swift is off of the injury report. And I really think Swift is going to play pretty considerably more than he played last game. Last game, he played 10 snaps. This game, I think he plays close to 30 snaps. I think he gets close to the same amount of touches as Jamal Williams. And that just is something to keep in mind with Jamal. Both guys can still be started. Jamal Williams is much less of a must bench than the rest of these guys on this list if you're watching live on TikTok, but only because it's a good matchup. Again, I don't think he's going to come near to the amount of touches that he had in his last game with Swift getting more healthy. I am still playing Pollard over both of them, though. For sure, I am playing Pollard over Swift and Pollard over Jamal. Again, Jamal can be started, but I just think he's much, much riskier than most people are realizing because Swift is getting healthier. And we know that because he's off the injury report for the first time in months. Debo or Amari Cooper? I would go Debo over Amari Cooper. I think Adam Thielen's a must bench just because he has shown no true ceiling this season. He has 0 games over 20 points. Please, I need to know Palmer or Juju. I would go Juju over Josh Palmer personally. Again, if you come to the YouTube live, you can see my top 15 rankings every position, and that will also answer a lot of the questions. It will answer a lot of the questions that I'm seeing in the TikTok live. Pollard or Pierce? Yeah, we switched this. I had Pierce originally ranked one spot ahead of Pollard, and then we dove a little bit more into the numbers, and I did switch Pollard to be one spot ahead of Pierce, and it's really the matchup is better for Pollard than for Pierce. And again, Zeke is not expected to play. That's huge for Pollard. So I do like Pollard just one tiny ranking spot better than Dameon Pierce, but both guys are top 7 running backs this week, so both guys should be started. Why do you like Derek Carr? Won't Josh Jacobs just dominate the run? Yeah, Josh Jacobs should be very involved in this game. Obviously, the Colts secondary has been good, but I do like Derek Carr still a decent amount more than I like a guy like Andy Dalton, who has a pretty good matchup Derek Carr has a much worse matchup, but I still just trust Derek Carr much more than a guy like Andy Dalton. Where's the top 15? Matt, I got you with the top 15. Here's the top 15 quarterbacks. I'll put up the top 15 wide receivers next. Ayuk or Tony? I would be going Ayuk over Tony. Is Gibson startable? Yeah, Tony Gibson is startable with J.D. McKissic out. Do you think Kyler's going to play? I don't think Kyler's going to play. No. Olave or Christian Kirk? I would be leaning Olave over Christian Kirk, though I do like both of them. Deontay Johnson or Josh Palmer? I'm going Deontay Johnson pretty easily. Over Josh Palmer, I'm going Deontay Johnson pretty easily over Darnell Mooney as well. Start Devontae Smith or Jerry Jeudy. That one's pretty close. Devontae Smith definitely been a little bit disappointing, but I do like Jerry Jeudy just a little bit more than him this week. I do like the matchup for Jeudy as well. Jeudy's actually the free player prop today, over 52.5 receiving yards for Jerry Jeudy. As a reminder, guys, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. Come to the YouTube live to see my top 15 rankings, every single position, my DraftKings lineup, my picks against the spread, and everything else. What's the DK lineup look like today? So let me pull up the DraftKings lineup again. I am starting Justin Fields at QB. He'll be very popular, but for very good reason against the Dolphins. Fields has just been rushing so much. Fields literally set the record for the most rushing yards in a game from a quarterback in NFL history last week. Dameon Pierce, Tony Pollard, both guys locked in, I think, to 20-plus touches in pretty good matchups. Both guys I have as top 7 running backs this week. I am starting Amon-Ra this week on DraftKings. Really like him. I like him and Sutton a lot on DraftKings this week, and Zay Jones with obviously the Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller injuries, and they're playing the Vikings. Really like Zay Jones this week. I like going with Travis Kelce, paying up for Travis Kelce at tight end as well. We talked about the top-heavy tight ends. This week, there's really only 4 tight ends I think you can confidently play on DraftKings. And I don't even know if they're all in the main slate, but Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson. Those are the only 4 tight ends to consider, really, this week that have any sort of confidence in my opinion. I still think some of those other tight ends will have good games. Dalton Schultz stands out to me as a guy that I might be sleeping on still too much, but I still think his floor is pretty low. I like Treylon Burks at minimum price. He's minimum priced. Like, I don't have confidence in Treylon Burks. I don't think anyone should start Treylon Burks in their season-long leagues. But at minimum price, a guy that could be the number 1 receiver for his own team feels a little bit egregious pricing to me. So I do like paying down for Treylon Burks. And then I wouldn't go with the Vikings defense. I don't know I have them in here now, but I actually do like the 49ers defense or the Raiders defense more. I also think you can consider playing Josh Jacobs for sure this week too. Christian Kirk or Gabe Davis. Yeah, I'd be going Christian Kirk over Gabe Davis. Jeudy or Deontay Johnson. I do like both of them this week. I think Deontay Johnson has a safer floor. I still would go Jerry Jeudy, though. I think his ceiling is really high. And again, he is the free player prop today, too, over 52.5 receiving yards. Gabe Davis or Mooney. I still would go Gabe Davis over Mooney. Gabe Davis does not have a game with over 4 catches still this season, but I still like him more than Mooney. Can you rank CD, A.J. Brown, and Amon-Ra this week? Yeah, so let me pull up my wide receiver rankings on the YouTube Live because I've already done this. I do have Amon-Ra ranked first, then CD, I think, and then A.J. Brown. No, I have A.J. Brown before CeeDee Lamb. So it goes Amon-Ra, then A.J., then CeeDee Lamb in my rankings this week. Should I acquire Mike Evans? Yeah, Mike Evans is probably worth acquiring. Kadarius Toney or Robert Woods / Higbee? Yikes, man. Yeah, I would probably go Kadarius Toney over Robert Woods / Higbee. You cannot start Robert Woods. You just can't do it. You can't do it. Swift or Jamal Williams? Yeah, so I'm definitely taking a stance here with the Swift Jamal Williams stuff, but I really think that Swift being off the injury report, I just have to say Swift. I have to say Swift. He's not on the injury report. So I would go Swift over Jamal this week. Tony or Allen Robinson? I do like Tony more than Allen Robinson. I have no faith. I have no faith in A-Rob, especially without Matt Stafford. Is Jared Goff going to be good? He definitely has an interesting ceiling, at least. I can't promise you, though. I can never promise you that Jared Goff is going to be good. We definitely can't be promising that on the live. Guys, it's been a very fun live so far. We're a couple hours in. We've been live for about 2 hours now. We got about an hour left, maybe a little bit less than an hour left in the live today. I might have to wrap it up a tiny bit early. My computer is dying, and I am not near a charger, so we got to try to conserve the YouTube live, the computer charge here. But I will break down my thoughts on every single game. I will try to get to as many of these start-sit questions as I can throughout the rest of the stream. Rachaad White, 55% of the snaps in the first half. Leonard Fournette, 45% of the snaps in the first half. That game is in Germany. We've been on German time this morning. Not much news really has come out, though, since we've started this live. We pretty much knew everything to this point. WalterPicks sent a football. Wow, thanks for the gift. I don't know if this is, what is this? WalterPicks lover. Wow, thanks, man. Thanks for the gifts in the TikTok live. Really do appreciate that. Love to see the logo in there. What's the point on the out and doubtful list? You can easily see that on fantasy apps. Mike, I'm just trying to help people, man. I don't really get the negativity a lot of the times on these live streams. Like I'm literally just trying to provide info to people that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know the apps and don't use the apps like you maybe do. I don't know, man. I don't appreciate the negativity on the TikTok live, but I do appreciate the positivity on the TikTok and YouTube lives. I do think that you got to separate out the out and doubtful as well. But really, like the reason I've listed out here is I think that one of the most important things is just being up to date on the injuries. It really does have the biggest impact week to week in fantasy football. Even if they're not your players, them being out impacts your players. So that's sort of why I like having the injuries up on the live. Who are you most excited to watch today? I'm very excited to watch a lot of these games. I'm probably most excited though to watch Tony Pollard. I'm very excited for Tony Pollard. I'm very excited for Amon-Ra St. Brown against the Bears defense as well. I'd say though the game I'm looking forward to the most is probably the Chiefs Jaguars game. Travis Etienne against the Chiefs, Christian Kirk against the Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence is a really big moment for him. He's a 9.5 point underdog in this game against the Chiefs. I'm very excited to see Kadarius Toney in an expanded role for the Chiefs as well. And I'm a Pats fan, so I'll be able to watch all the games very closely this week with no Patriots game on bye. So I'm kind of looking forward to that as well. But yeah, a lot of really exciting games for sure to look forward to today. I'm also excited to see how the Colts look with Jeff Saturday as the coach and Jonathan Taylor back. I'm envisioning a lot of touches for Jonathan Taylor today in his first game back. Kenneth Walker has 2 points. Yikes. You absolutely hate to see that. Let me pull up the tight end rankings one more time on the YouTube live. Again, come to the YouTube live. See my top 15 rankings every position, my DraftKings lineup, my picks against the spread. I'll pull up the DraftKings lineup here. So that's someone asking for that in the YouTube live. Walter, move down, bro. I can't see. I got you, man. My name's actually Sam, though. It's a classic mistake. Walter is actually the AI algorithm that I helped build that powers the WalterPicks app, which you can find for free in the iOS and Android App Store. My name's Sam. Don't worry about it. It's a classic mistake. We got start Josh Allen if active, right? Yeah, you got to start him. If he's active, you have to start him. It's just that is right. That is right. I don't even think I need to explain that very much. Again, the Jamal Williams must bench. He's really more of a fringe bench. I do think you should be looking for another option over Jamal Williams. Like I would play Jonathan Taylor over Jamal Williams, which I'm seeing that question in the YouTube live right now. I would not play Raheem Mostert over Jamal Williams, though. I would play Jamal Williams over Raheem Mostert. But again, the reason I'm nervous about Jamal Williams is really DeAndre Swift being off the injury report. This is the first time DeAndre Swift has been off the injury report in months. Like this is the healthiest he's been. This is the coaching staff telling us that this is the healthiest they view DeAndre Swift has been in quite some time. He only played 10 snaps last week. He had 5 touches on 10 snaps. I expect that to at least double this week, and I do think that just lowers the ceiling and floor for Jamal pretty considerably, and I don't think anyone's really talking about it. So that's sort of why I have Jamal here. I just want to call out that I think his floor is much lower. I still think he can be started, though, if you don't have another good backup option over Jamal. Najee versus Jamal is super close. Honestly, I might have said Najee earlier in this lab. I do think Jamal is probably a safer bet than Najee. It's really tough to trust Najee. And there's been all these rumblings about Najee potentially losing some work to the backup there. So I'm a little bit nervous for Najee. And I do think playing Swift over Jamal is a pretty reasonable take with him not being on the injury report. Hey, Sam, I'm back. Danny Dimes or Derek Carr. How we doing, man? Yeah, I would go Derek Carr. In most weeks, I feel like I would say Derek Carr. But Daniel Jones against the Texans is pretty interesting, man. I have Daniel Jones ranked 2 spots ahead of Derek Carr this week. I'm starting him myself in one of my leagues. I'm prepared to be let down every single time I have any sort of faith in Daniel Jones. But he low-key hasn't been terrible for fantasy this season. He's been running a decent amount, and he's playing the league's worst running defense this week. So, yeah, I do like Daniel Jones a decent amount this week. Second half is kicking off here between the Seahawks and the Bucs. Bucs up 14-0 to start this half, but the Seahawks do have the ball to start this half. And I think that was back-to-back Will Dissly catches. Daniel Jones averaging 16.3 fantasy points per game this season. He's only gone under 10 points once, and that was actually his last game, but he's also coming off the bye. So, yeah, I do like Daniel Jones a decent amount this week, especially for all of you down bad at the quarterback position. I know there's a lot of quarterback injuries going on right now. Tyler Lockett's selling me. Yeah, Tyler Lockett has not been doing too much in this game so far. Tight end rankings. Yeah, let me pull these up. Singletary or Jeff Wilson? I would lean towards Singletary. Can you pull up wide receiver rankings? Yeah, so if you're on the YouTube live, you can see my top 15 rankings every position. Again, come to the YouTube live. Link to that is in the TikTok bio to see my top 15 rankings every single position. Tyler Lockett did just get a first down. Right as someone says he's killing you. Hey, Sam, do I throw Clyde Edwards? Who do I throw in the flex, Clyde or Jeff Wilson PPR? I actually do think Clyde is sort of the move this week. Jerick McKinnon is a little banged up. I haven't seen any official report on it this morning. But if he doesn't play, that's pretty massive for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's going to be the primary pass catching back. All of a sudden, Jerick McKinnon played over 60% of the snaps last week. So that's something to monitor. If McKinnon doesn't play, you got to start Clyde for sure in that situation. Tua or Fields? I am going Fields over Tua. Judy or Sutton? Yeah, I like Sutton just a tiny bit more than Judy. And I have Judy's prop. Judy's prop is the free player prop. Oh, I'm sorry, TikTok Live. You guys are getting tossed around right now a little bit. I do like the Judy prop, but I also think Sutton has a better chance at a touchdown, which is why I am going with Sutton over Judy for fantasy. Trust Aaron Jones. I have Khalil Herbert on my bench. Yeah, you got to play Aaron Jones over Khalil Herbert. Absolutely have to. Elliott is doubtful. Yep. Yes, you need to start Tony Pollard. Yes, you need to start Tony Pollard with Elliott doubtful. Hopkins outlook with no Kyler. Start Juju over him. I still think you kind of have to start Hopkins over Juju, but I mean, he's definitely much riskier with Colt McCoy starting for sure, but he still is the pretty clear top target. So I'm okay going with Hopkins over Juju still. Devontae Smith or Jamal Williams. Yeah, that one's really close. I'm okay going Jamal over Devontae Smith. I do think he's a little bit safer, just a little bit safer. But again, he is a little bit more risky this week with DeAndre Swift off the injury report. But I still think he's a better play than Devontae Smith, who's clearly has a pretty low floor this season. I will pull up the running back rankings. Hey, Sam, Schultz or Dolch? I have Pollard and Lamb. I don't know if stacking three is smart. I did have a team with all three of those guys as well. And stacking all three isn't great. But I still think Schultz is a better option than Dolch. So I still feel like you should play Schultz over Dolchich. Is Josh Allen a risky start? No, you still have to start Josh Allen. Is he riskier? Yes, but he's still Josh Allen. So we're still starting him if he's playing. How come you like CMC over Saquon if he's playing the worst run defense in the league? Well, because CMC also has a really, really good matchup this week. So obviously Saquon's matchup is better, right? But how much better? It's not even that much better than CMC's. We also just know the 49ers offense is better than the Giants offense. So I also think CMC just has a better chance at TDs. But yeah, the Chargers run defense has just been so bad this season. Let me pull up the 49ers. He gets the second best matchup for running backs. So Saquon is the best matchup for running backs. But CMC is the second best matchup for running backs, and I just like CMC as a fantasy asset more each week because he's on a better running offense just in general. So, yeah, I do like CMC still more than Saquon, but there's a case for Saquon being the number one overall running back this week too, for sure. Good morning, Sam. Hope all is well. Kylo, good to see you in the YouTube live, man. Judy, Burks, Thielen, Ayuk. Is Jamal Williams still a start at flex? Do I also put one of these guys in at flex too? I would play Judy over Burks and Thielen and Ayuk, and I wouldn't start any of these guys over Jamal. I do think Jamal should be considered to be benched in a lot of spots, but I do also recognize that Jamal is better than a lot of options out there. So Jamal is more of a fringe bench than a must bench for me this week. But again, the reason I'm a little bit more scared about Jamal is just that DeAndre Swift is off the injury report. AGC, thank you for the sub-star, man. I really do appreciate that. Shout out to all the TikTok Live subscribers out there. We'll always make sure I prioritize your guys' comments in the live stream. Really does support me a lot. Pollard or Jamal? I would go Pollard over Jamal for sure. And we got 20 minutes until we get the official actives and inactives for this week. I have a terrible one for you, Sam. I love the terrible ones. Let's pull this one up. Pacheco, Henderson, Warren, Elijah Mitchell. Yeah, that's gross. I would go Pacheco though. I would go Pacheco or Warren. I mean, there's been a decent amount of murmurs that Jalen Warren is going to get some touches over Najee. I'll believe that when I see it, though. I don't really believe it. I don't really believe it. I would play Isaiah Pacheco, I think, over Jalen Warren. Why bench Jamal Williams, and thoughts on Swift? Yeah, so just generally speaking, I'm more nervous about Jamal this week than I have been for a while because this is the healthiest DeAndre Swift has been. And we know that because he's off the injury report. He's off the injury report for the first time in months. So it's the healthiest Swift has been, which means he's probably going to play the most he's played in quite some time. I think Swift could come close to the same amount of touches as Jamal this week. And I don't think that's that crazy of a take, knowing that he's not even on the injury report. Hey, Sam, love what you're doing here. Thanks, man. Muth or Dulcich? Yeah, so let me pull up the tight end rankings again on the YouTube Live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, come to the YouTube Live to see my top 15 rankings, every position. Link to that's right in the TikTok bio. But I do think I have Muth. Yeah, I have Muth just a couple spots ahead of Dolch. So I think that's pretty reasonable, and I would start Muth over Dolch. It's a better matchup, I think, for Dolch than Muth. But Muth also, they've already said it in their bye week, but Muth is really going to be a huge benefactor from the Chase Claypool trade. He's going to basically be the only one operating the middle of the field for the Steelers. Brandon Cooks or Terry, forced to start one of them. Not sure about Cooks in his first game. Yeah, I'm okay going Terry McScorin over Brandon Cooks. What about one TD for Jamal? Yeah, definitely possible that he scores a TD for Jamal. Definitely possible. It's a good matchup for Jamal and Swift too. Both are startable. They're both startable. I'm okay playing Jamal over Montgomery as well. I don't really love Demont in this game. Dawson Knox or Taysom Hill. I'd still go Dawson Knox over Taysom Hill, but it's close, man. Taysom Hill Taysom Hill played his least snap share of his season though last week, so it feels like a kind of a downwards trend for Taysom, though you never know when Taysom's just going to become a focal point of the offense again. But I still like Dawson Knox a little bit more. Thank you for the gifts in the TikTok Live again. Really do appreciate that. Montgomery, Pickens, or DPJ. I would go Pickens over Montgomery, and I'd go Pickens over DPJ. Mills, Pickett, and Brisket. I'm assuming you mean Teddy Brissett. Yeah, I would probably go in that order there with quarterbacks too. Davis Mills. I'd probably go Kenny Pickett, then Davis Mills, then Jacoby Brissett. Olave or Amari Cooper. Yeah, that one's close, man. I think I would go Olave though over Coop. Both guys really good options though. I take Taysom against the Steelers. We're gonna need some big runs. Anyway, Steelers have a good defense. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Taysom against the Steelers, Dawson Knox against the Vikings. I think it's close. Again, I don't have strong opinions about these tight ends after the top 4 tight ends. You really are grasping at straws, and all of these tight ends after the top 4 very realistically could score 0 points. The top 4, Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, huge drop-off after that. Kittle or Hawkinson? Yeah, I do have Kittle one spot ahead of Hawkinson. I do really want to start TJ Hawkinson, though. I do like TJ Hawkinson a decent amount. The free player prop of the day, by the way, is Deontay Johnson over 52.5. Receiving yards, he's gone over 50. He's gone over this line every single game in his last 5 games. And he's a really good matchup today against the Titans, who have allowed bottom 5 yards per game to receivers this season. Where's the players you refuse to sit video? I know I didn't get that out this week, unfortunately. I was gonna pump it out. Honestly, I might pump it out still before 1 o'clock. I still might get it out there. But it's gonna be close. It's only gonna happen if I end the live a tiny bit early too. So we'll see if I can get it out in time. Hey Sam, who should I start, Swift or Montgomery? Yeah, I would be starting Swift over Montgomery personally this week. Start Pacheco at 1 or Zeke at 425. Zeke is not going to play. So you got to operate under the mindset that Zeke is not going to play today. Do not hold out hope for him. So I would start Pacheco. Hey Sam, do you have a DFS lineup today? I do, and there's a lot of wiggle room in my DFS lineup today. Here's the DraftKings lineup today. I do like Justin Fields a lot. My favorite plays though this week on DraftKings, I like Tony Pollard a lot. I also really like Courtland Sutton and Amon-Ra St. Brown a lot on DraftKings. Also at minimum price, I like Treylon Burks as well. What do you expect for Kadarius Toney this week? I do think Tony's going to play more. I do think Tony is going to play more, and with Mecole Hardman out too, I'm kind of excited about it, man. I don't want to get ahead of myself with Kadarius Toney because he obviously still has a really low floor. He barely played in his first game, but I do expect him to play more in his second game. I think he'll be closer to at least a fourth or a third of the snaps, as opposed to like a tenth of the snaps, which he played in his very first game. Justin Fields or Josh Allen? I'm going Josh Allen still over Justin Fields. I have Fields ranked 4th. I have Josh Allen ranked 3rd. Gibson or Darrell Henderson? I do like Gibson much more than Darrell Henderson. Don't start the Rams. The Rams running backs just cannot be started. Move your head. Here's the moving my head. Pat Freiermuth or Greg Dolch. Mark Andrews on a bye. Yeah, I'd go Muth over Dolch. I'd go Muth over Dolch. Josh Palmer, Allen Lazard, Deontay Johnson. I'd go Deontay Johnson over Josh Palmer and Allen Lazard. I still think Deontay Johnson's a much better option than both those guys. Sam, my man, Khalil Herbert or Thielen, happy PR. I would go Khalil Herbert over Thielen. I do not love Thielen. Brutal. Mac Hollins, Landry, Slayton, need flex. Yeah, you got to go Mac Hollins. Mac Daddy Hollins over Jarvis Landry and over Slayton. I think that's pretty easy, honestly. And without Renfro, without Darren Waller, I do think Mac Hollins is in play. Deontay Johnson or Devontae Smith? I do like Deontay Johnson. Do I run double tight ends with Goddard and Kittle and take out either Terry or Rondale? I'm okay taking out Rondale with no Kyler Murray, but I don't really love starting 2 tight ends, so I can't advise it. I can't advise you to start 2 tight ends, even though they're 2 of my top 4 tight ends. A.J. Dillon or Jeff Wilson? Yeah, I do. Or Hines. Yeah, I think Jeff Wilson's probably the safest. Who do I try and get off waivers to replace Zeke? I don't know. I do not know who's available on your waiver wire, but if it needs to be a running back, you're going to be down pretty bad, almost definitely. Pacheco or B-Rob, Swift or Sutton? I do like Sutton more than Swift, and I do like B-Rob more than Pacheco. Weatherman Sam, got any updates today? No updates really weather-wise today. We could see our first snow game of the year in Buffalo, between Minnesota and Buffalo, but it's not going to be a lot of snow, and it's not going to be very windy, and there's not going to be any really wind in any other games, and there's no other precipitation in any other game. So not much to know from the weather today. Jonathan Taylor thoughts. Yeah, I do want to talk JT a little bit. I mean, one of the most interesting players I feel like to talk about right now in fantasy football, because he was the number 1 pick in most drafts. He was the number 1 running back in fantasy last year, obviously. But this year, the Colts are in complete shambles. The offensive line is trash. Now they have the worst coaching situation in the NFL, and they're starting a 6th-round quarterback as well. But Deion Jackson is out, and Jonathan Taylor's back. And I think he's going to see a pretty considerable workload in his first game back. Obviously, tough to know exactly how much his coming off the injury, they might limit him. But it feels like with Jeff Saturday, I could really see this Colts team just becoming extremely run-heavy behind an offensive lineman as a head coach. It's not snowing here, according to the people in Buffalo. So it's not snowing right now. Still potential for snow, though, I think, in that game. It's also right around freezing, though, so it might actually be – it might not be snow at all. Sam, got one more for you. Devontae Smith versus Washington or Gabe Davis versus Minnesota? I would go Gabe Davis. And yeah, going back to that JT stuff, I'm starting JT in all spots this week. I think he's a really interesting tournament play on DraftKings too. I do think you have to start him. I do think he still can do really well for fantasy in this offense, but we got to see how much he's playing coming off his injury. Miles Sanders or Swift? Yeah, I would lean towards Miles Sanders over Swift. Defense streamers. Yeah, you got to go with the Raiders as a streamer this week against the Colts. Amon-Ra or Devontae Smith? I'm going Amon-Ra 1,000%. I'm going Amon-Ra over Devontae Smith. Let me find this this remote here. Oh. The game just turned off for me. Thank you, boss. Yeah, I got you, man. I got you. Tripping penalty in this Bucs game. I did not see this play, but oh gosh. Is that Tom Brady down the field? What is going on? They just threw an interception to Tom Brady or over Tom Brady. QB on bye. Who should I pick up off waivers? Wilson, Lawrence, or Carr? Love the app, Sam. Got you, Freddie. Yeah, guys, that's the best way you could possibly support me is checking out the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android App Store. Free to download, free to try out. That's found in the TikTok bio and in the YouTube description. But yeah, I think I would go. I think I have Trevor Lawrence. Might be Derek Carr, honestly. I kind of feel like we need to move Derek Carr a little bit down these rankings, though. Given the matchup for Derek Carr, given all the injuries for Derek Carr, I kind of do like Trevor Lawrence a little bit more than Derek Carr. Yeah, we're going to swap this. Let's do it. Here's the updated QB rankings. Yeah, I would play Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence against the Chiefs is definitely more exciting to me than Derek Carr against the Colts. All right, let's get back to some of these start sits. We should get the official actives and inactives in just about 10 minutes here. Tom LMAO. Yeah, I don't know what that was. That play where they just threw an interception trying to pass it to Tom Brady. I honestly I didn't even see the full play. I literally just saw the highlight at the end of the play, but the end of that play, I mean, that was a laughable play. Claypool or Ayuk. Yeah, I would lean towards Claypool over Ayuk. We only got about 10 minutes. 10 minutes till these inactives and actives come out. And my computer is about to die and I will not be able to charge it. So we might end the YouTube live a little bit early, but we'll still keep going on the TikTok live. But we have about maybe 20 minutes left on this YouTube live. So we'll try to get to as many of these YouTube live comments as I can. Reminder though, if you're watching live on TikTok, if you come to the YouTube live, you get my top 15 rankings, every single position, my DraftKings lineup, my picks against the spread, and much, much more. Williams/Swift or Najee. I'd go Williams/Swift over Najee. I do think Williams is more risky this week than he was last week, even in a better matchup. He has a good matchup against the Bears, but Swift is off the injury report. That's why Jamal Williams is a must bench. I think he's more of a fringe bench. He certainly is startable. Like I would start him over Najee, for example. But I still think Swift is going to play much more than he played last game. He only played 10 snaps last game. I traded Tay, Mahomes, and got it for Kupp, Lamar, Olave, and Waller. Also, Njoku, what are your thoughts? Yeah, Zach, I like this. It's a fair trade, but I do like getting Cooper Kupp a decent amount. Herbert or Jimmy G. This we all now I'm seeing the play. This was Leonard Fournette literally throwing a jump ball up to Tom Brady, who's just fell down. Pretty egregious play calling there. So we got a Leonard Fournette interception on the stat sheet too for fantasy. That's pretty brutal. So if you started Leonard Fournette, he just threw an interception. How do you feel about Christian Kirk? I love Christian Kirk. Herbert or Jimmy G this week? Yeah, let me pull my QB rank. My QB rank is already up, and I think I do have Jimmy G ranked ahead of Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert without all of his weapons. Jimmy G in a pretty good matchup. If Kyler is out, Kyler is almost definitely going to be out. Should I play Lawrence, Wilson, Goff, Jimmy G, or Carr? I think Jimmy G is honestly the best, then Trevor Lawrence, then Carr, then Goff is how I would rank it. I know it's sad, but A.J. Dillon or Darrell Henderson, we can't start Darrell Henderson. You cannot start the Rams running backs. Do not start the Rams running backs. Start A.J. Dillon. INT gang. Yeah, INT gang for Leonard Fournette for sure. Pick 2, Deontay Johnson, Judy, Ayuk. Yeah, I would go with Deontay Johnson, then Judy, then Ayuk. I do like Judy this week. He's my free player prop today, over 52.5 receiving yards. I just really think that the turkey or ham. Oh, I got to get to that one. Really, I feel like ham has a really low floor, Ham has an extremely low floor. Like you get a gross ham, and like you might be out for a couple weeks. I think I'd side with turkey. Turkey has a higher floor, higher ceiling in my opinion. So I think I would side with the turkey in this one. But yeah, I do like Deontay Johnson more than Jerry Jeudy as well. Is Josh Allen out? No, it does not sound like Josh Allen is going to be out. We are about to get the official injury reports though, like in 7 minutes or so. So we should know that very soon. I'm undecided on starting Josh Allen or Tua this week. I still think if Josh Allen plays, you have to start Josh Allen. That's my take. I think that's a pretty reasonable take, but I could understand being a little worried about the injury. Etienne and Taylor or CMC and Pollard this week. Yeah, I'd go CMC and Pollard over Etienne and Taylor pretty confidently. I've CMC number 1, and I just really like the ceiling for Tony Pollard as well. Tony or Peoples-Jones. Tony is definitely much riskier than Peoples-Jones. Peoples-Jones has been pretty consistent, but I do think like the appeal of Kadarius Toney is pretty exciting. I'm okay going Kadarius Toney over Peoples-Jones, but Peoples-Jones almost definitely projects better and has been much better this whole season. So appreciate your words, my man. I got you, man. Thanks for the positivity. Thank you guys all for being tuned in. I really do appreciate it. Love these Sunday morning lives. Look forward to these all week. This is one of my favorite times of my week. Why is everyone so low on Dak? Yeah, people are very low on Dak. People are very low on the Cowboys offense in general. Part of it definitely is just that he was hurt this season and didn't play all that much. But I think you're right. I think people are just underrating Dak, period. I mean, his last game was really, really strong against the Bears, 250 yards, 2 TDs. He rushed for a TD too. He had 26 fantasy points. He was the number 4 quarterback in his last game. But the week before that, he played the Lions, and he only had 1 touchdown and only 12 fantasy points. So he's been a little bit up and down, but we've only seen really 2 full games from him. He's only played 2 full games from Dak. So I think people are just a little bit down on Dak just in general because they haven't seen him play very much. Love the app. Yeah, I got you, Freddie. Appreciate the shout out of the WalterPicks app. If you guys haven't checked out the WalterPicks app yet, it's free to download in the iOS and Android app store. You definitely got to check it out. But yeah, I do like Trevor Lawrence more than Derek Carr and or more than Russell Wilson. I would go Trevor Lawrence here. Start 1 full PPR, 12-man, Josh Palmer, AJ Dillon, Tyler Higbee, Brandon Cooks, Jeff Wilson. Yeah, I think I would go Josh Palmer, then Brandon Cooks here, but I like Josh Palmer the most. I like Josh Palmer more than Brandon Cooks. Swift or Jamal, again, I'm siding with Swift over Jamal, but it's close, man. Thanks for answering, man. I got you, Caden. DeAndre Carter or Wandale. I'd go Carter over Wandale, but it's definitely close. Similar players, but I just like being linked up with Justin Herbert more than I do with Daniel Jones. Pick 2, Olave, JT, Amon-Ra, Pittman, Lazard. Olave, JT, Amon-Ra, Pittman, and Lazard. So we're for sure starting Amon-Ra. Then I think you start Olave too. I think I would go Olave and Amon-Ra. It's either that or it's JT and Amon-Ra. Kyler isn't playing. He is doubtful to play. Kyler is doubtful to play. Again, we are about to get a decent amount of the injury reports officially. But it is going to be out very soon, though I do think that game might be later in the day. But yeah, it doesn't sound like Kyler's going to play. Thoughts on locking in Saquon 2 TDs and over 99 rushing yards today? Kyler, I don't hate it. Don't hate it. Definitely could see that within Saquon's range of outcomes against the dead last run defense in the NFL. The Giants are going to run the ball a ton today. One question I haven't seen today, unsurprisingly, is Kenny Golladay, who supposedly Kenny Galladay's back today, guys, and going to see considerable snaps for the Giants. That probably just means more wind sprints for Kenny Golladay. We haven't really seen him play, though, in a while. He's been out for quite some time. So we get to watch both Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay this week. What a week to be alive. Kittle this week. Yeah, Kittle definitely can be started this week. Let me pull up my top 15 tight ends again on the YouTube live. Again, link to that is in the TikTok bio. But the tight end situation's bleak, man. It is as bleak as it ever has been. There's only 4 tight ends that have any sort of trust this week from me. Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson. After that, though, definitely not any trust at all. We are really near the end of the YouTube live in terms of my computer battery here. We got 10% battery. We have about 3 minutes, though, to go till the news. I am going to try to hold out the YouTube live until we get some official inactives and actives to talk through on the live stream. Then we will wrap up the live for the last hour or so on the TikTok live stream. So make sure you're following us on TikTok for that as well. It does not look like we've gotten any official inactives yet, but they will be coming in just a few minutes. Amari Cooper or Josh Palmer. Yeah, I would lean towards Amari Cooper over Josh Palmer. I think he's just in his own tier ahead of Josh Palmer, in my opinion. Swift or Wilson. I would be playing Swift over Jeff Wilson. Again, Swift is off the injury report. Like, it's hard not to read too much into that. It's the first time he's been off the injury report in quite some time, and it's a really good matchup for Swift, too. Juju or St. Brown, got to go St. Brown over Juju. Half PPR, Wandale or Cooks. I'd go Cooks over Wandale. I know it's a little sketchy with Cooks and sort of that whole situation, but I still like Cooks a little bit more than Wandale Robinson. T-Law and Russ. Yeah, I'd play Trevor Lawrence over Russ, and I'd play Judy over Palmer. What about Russell Wilson? It's a good matchup for Russell Wilson. Look, they're coming off the bye. The Titans have been really bad in the secondary. They've been much better against the run than in the secondary. But I can't trust Russ still. He's been so inconsistent this season. It's tough for me to get fully behind Russell Wilson as a confident play. So he's not in my top 15 quarterbacks this week, though I do like Judy and Sutton a lot. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Joey. How we doing, man? Ayuk, Connor, Jamal. I do have Swift at flex this week. PPR. Yeah, so I'm nervous about Jamal. I think he's a little bit safer than Swift. I still think Swift's ceiling is higher than Jamal Williams' ceiling, though. And I do also think that Connor probably has the most touches with Kyler out. So it's really close, man. It's definitely really close. Personally, I'm going Swift in a PPR league against the Bears. I'm not benching Swift because I'm chasing the ceiling. But if you're chasing the floor, then I'm okay going with Jamal in that one. Vikings or Bills. I'm taking the Bills over the Vikings for sure. Let me pull up my picks against the spread. I actually think I took the Vikings against the spread, but still expect the Bills to win. You starting Allen. I have Diggs, but Fields on my bench. Yeah, I'm starting Allen. Yeah, I think if he's playing, you got to start him. I don't think there's a way around it. Justin Fields is obviously a really good option too. I have him ranked number 4 this week. I have Josh Allen actually at number 3, but yeah, I'm going with Josh Allen if he's playing. Just you can't have Josh Allen putting up 40 points on your bench. Who do I drop, Connor or Singletary, and pick up Jones or Cousins to fill in since Kyler's out today? Yeah, I would probably drop Connor before dropping Singletary, but it's close. Definitely close. Wide receiver ranks, please. Yeah, I got you with the wide receiver rankings. I do think we should be getting some of those inactives and actives coming out now. Well, he wasn't definitive. Head coach Mike McCarthy does not seem to expect Zeke to play today against the Packers. His hyperextended right knee needing another week. Tony Pollard expected to start. He leads Dallas in rushing and TDs. So Zeke not expected to play today, but they have not shut the door. Josh Allen is officially active today versus the Vikings. Josh Allen is officially playing today versus the Vikings. Pickens or Mostert in the flex? Yeah, I would lean towards Pickens. I'd lean towards Pickens over Mostert with Jeff Wilson seeing a lot of the touches recently. Why have words behind you if your head's in the way? Well, I'm live on YouTube and TikTok, and if I move my head too much, then I'm behind the screen on the text on the YouTube live too. But I will be exclusively back on the TikTok live very soon because my computer will die in the coming minutes on the YouTube live. Guys, YouTube live, we got 7% battery. The inactives and actives are coming in. We kind of already knew what the actives and inactives are going to be, though. My flex is a mess. Pick 2, MVS, Zay Jones, and Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, you got to go the first 2. Don't start 2 tight ends. Do not start 2 tight ends, guys. Do not start 2 tight ends, especially in such a down tight end week. I don't want to be starting 2 tight ends. I am playing Higbee over Dolchich, even with the Matt Stafford injury. Is D-Hop good to start since Kyler might not play? Yeah, D-Hop's still good to start, even though Kyler might not play. I'm nervous about Jamal Williams because DeAndre Swift is off the injury report for the first time in months. I feel like he's a lock to see like 3 times as many snaps and touches as he saw last week. So that has me concerned a little bit about Jamal, but it still is a good matchup for Jamal. So he certainly is the least must bench of the must bench list today, but I think he's more of a fringe bench. And I think he's a lower floor than people are realizing this week because of the DeAndre Swift improvement in his health. Sam's laptop will be inactive in a few minutes. Yeah, Rodney, this is fact, man. I shout out to all the YouTube live people. Really do appreciate you. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe and like button. Again, I will be live on TikTok for the remainder of the stream, which is just about an hour or so left. Thank you, YouTube Live. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Seriously, time, it's the most valuable thing we have. So thank you for spending some time with me today. As always, guys, I'll be back live Thursday night, Sunday morning, and I'll be posting weekly YouTube content as always. Again, if you want to hop on for the rest of the stream, come over to the TikTok live at WalterPicks on TikTok as well. Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, we are live only